The Fan.
Hey, welcome in, and this is the beginning of the Labor Day weekend bender. Mystic Waters Campground off of I-69 in Pendleton. You have heard all about this. It is absolutely legit, and honestly, we could not have picked a better day to start out what is going to be an epic Labor Day weekend here in central Indiana. Get off of I-69 in Pendleton. This is what we like to call, too, a Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. So that means our betting analyst, Brent Holverson, is here. We'll talk with him in a second. That means we've got lots of bottles flowing here. That means we have Ryan Stoltz of New Belgium Brewing and Bell's. He's got the beer here, and Richard is on the way from Ford's Garage. In fact, Ford's Garage is not too far away. I mean, he has to go down I-69 basically right here, or maybe if you want to go, what is this, 38 or whatever this is out 38? You want to go there to Ruoff and you go right down to Ford's. It is easy to find. So that is where we are today, and we have a busy show for you because I have a special treat. You know, I mentioned this yesterday. We always love to do an expanded conversation before the start of a Colts season, and most of this conversation we're going to have is going to be without much Jonathan Taylor interest whatsoever. So everybody at the same time can say hallelujah. Not a lot of Jonathan Taylor conversation, but it is going to be your primer for the start of the NFL season. I know it's a week from Sunday for the Colts. It's a week from last night for the NFL in general. But Rick Venturi, not only is he going to join us as he normally does, but Rick is on his way here. Rick is going to join us live here at Mystic Waters Campground for an hour, 3:30 until 4:30, and he's going to get you right on all the Colts offense, defense, positional players, battles, quarterbacks, all that with Rick coming up here at 3:30. Bob Lovell going to join us too, week 3 of the high school football season. Bob joins us coming up here in 5 or 6 minutes. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, IU and Ohio State coming up tomorrow afternoon, 2:30. The coverage begins downstairs, if we were in the building, on 93 WIBC. And we'll also talk with Mike Wells of ESPN Radio coming up in the 4 o'clock hour as well. So we got all that for you. We're going to have the food. We got the beverages. Let's bring in our betting analyst, Brent Holverson, who, I'll be honest with you, this was his idea. This whole thing was the brainchild, the idea of Brent Holverson, and it's all coming to life right here, Billy. All right here. Brent, how you doing?
Outstanding, man. How are you?
You're chasing it a little bit, like you went full throttle from South Bend.
You know what?
Right?
It was a little full throttle today, but it's good to be here. I mean, what weather, right? It couldn't be a better weekend, and I've been looking forward to this since we kind of came up with it, right? This is going to be fun, and it's all going to start right now. So come on out to Mystic Waters Campground. We've got some great samples out there. We've got Ryan Stoltz with New Belgium Brewing over there. Like you mentioned, Ford's Garage bringing some food in. Joe's Grill will have the food truck open after that from 6 to 10 tonight. Got DJ Skids going to be playing some music, right?
You know what? Don't forget about Skids. Not only is Skids coming tonight and doing it for Mystic Waters Campground for all of our enjoyment, he's going to come tomorrow night. He's going to plug in to our JMV Takeover set, and then we're going to do some live requests and Skids doing the mini-mix thing here, which is all just about to blow my mind. I mean, it is. There's a lot happening here.
I tell you what, John, I'm really excited to watch this first time ever live edition of the JMV Takeover.
I hope it goes up and doesn't spiral down. But, yeah, it's going to be great.
It is going to be great. And, again,
really
the weather couldn't be any better, man. It's, 80 degrees, just beautiful. I mean, look at the water right now, the sun shining.
Yep.
Great, happy people coming around. And, again, I got to get you. I failed you, my friend. I haven't brought you your introductory cocktail to start the day.
That's okay. I don't know if I want to lean into this as heavy as I normally do because there's a lot of time. Right? There's going to be a lot of time here.
There is, but the benefit, John, with you staying out here all weekend is you don't have to drive.
I don't have to drive.
So you know what? We might drop it into second gear a little faster than normal.
Let me tell you all that are listening out there right now, too. If there's ever been a party cabin at Mystic Waters Campground, it will be cabin number 39. Because cabin number 39 is right over there. That is where I'm going to be housed. And a shout out to Brent and Lisa because they set me up the closest cabin to the bathroom.
That's right.
Would be cabin number 39.
That's right.
That's where the party's happening.
Right off the beach, right by the bathroom.
Right,
just in case.
I mean, right to the bathroom.
Hey, we want this to feel like a home game for you, right? So you don't have to worry about the non-home game apparel.
It will. I think I walked further in my house, I think, to get to the bathroom than I do out here now. So, yeah, it is going to feel like a home game, too. Hey, tell people what they may not know, especially about what you may have available today, tomorrow, into the weekend.
Well, we have 26 cabins. All the cabins are rented for the weekend, but we do have some RV spots left, and there's 38 acres out here, John, so there's plenty of tent camping opportunities, and we've got designated spots. There's fire rings there for you. You've got great shaded area, and there's plenty of room for everybody to come out and enjoy. Be safe and have fun.
Oh, man, this is awesome. You're right, though. You could not ask for a better day. Not at all. All right, what concoctions do we have ready to be made over there? What do we got from the Heaven Hill Distillery label?
Well, I tell you, and here shortly, maybe after break, I'm gonna make a big announcement. And a gentleman happens to be out here today.
Okay.
I'm going to announce, very excited, there's a new addition to the Heaven Hill, Indiana family. And
man.
might see him a little bit back over there, but we've got the full lineup over there. I mean, I've got some great stuff over there. Of course, all the Evan Williams family of brands with the black label, white label, 1783. You got Evan Williams Cherry, Evan Williams Peach, Evan Williams Apple. We got some fire back there. Luna's Tequila, your favorite Larceny Bourbon.
Yeah.
We've got some specialties with Heaven Hill's 7-year-old Bottle and Bond. Widow Jane bourbon, it's a 10-year-old. We've also got we've got some great stuff. I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff. And again, these aren't samples today. We got some full cocktails coming out.
Full cocktails are flowing here. And you mentioned that special announcement you have. And in terms of Central Indiana, we can only compare it to, let's say, for example, Ohtani all of a sudden got picked up and went someplace else. Away from the Angels to a different baseball team. Let's just say he goes across L.A. and plays for the Dodgers. This is the equivalent of that right here.
100%. I mean, there's no injury. There's no injury.
Central Indiana's Ohtani right here.
That is absolutely. That's a great.
This is a big deal. You know what's great about the announcement you're going to make, and the person that you're going to be talking about and describing, is that everybody knows him. It's like the Cheers. The Cheers intro, everybody knows your name. Everybody knows him.
Absolutely right.
Everybody knows him. That's a big deal.
I could not be more honored and excited to kind of let the cat out of the bag, because he will start officially Tuesday is the official date, but really today he's done with his previous engagements, and absolutely honored to have him, and it's going to be huge for Heaven Hill Brands here in the state of Indiana.
I know you've been running back and forth with Bernie to South Bend, and I know you've been setting up here and getting the campgrounds ready for this incredible Labor Day weekend bender that we're putting on here. But have you had a chance to think about football games?
I have, John. I was actually, when I was driving back today, I was really taking in a lot of the last weekend of notes, right? We got football starting less than a week away, 6 days on Thursday. Football's here. Very excited for it. As we'll talk on Thursday, we have our first edition of the Larceny Locks and Lose Shots. That's going to be at Joe's Grill in Castleton next Thursday. We'll go through it and talk about it. But, again, the first couple weeks, we're going to take it a little bit easy. You always want to start slow, see how these teams, a lot of new shifting and grooving of what's going on with players out there. So we'll have some good stuff to talk about on Thursday at Joe's Grill in Castleton.
All right, we're thinking about tomorrow. You got Purdue, Fresno State at noon. West Lafayette, a brand new looking, redone Ross-Ade Stadium, that's at noon. Fresno State, Jeff Tedford's their head coach. There's no slacking going on there. Guy, offensively speaking, is legit. Then you got IU in Bloomington versus Ohio State tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, which is, I think, a robust line, to say the least.
30 is that 30. Number, John? 30.
Do you want to announce this later? You want to talk about this now? What do you think?
You know what? I'll give a little teaser on that.
Give a little teaser.
I actually like that 30 points. I actually like the Hoosiers plus the 30. I think it's going to be close to that, but 30 points is a lot, especially week one coming out. They're going to be playing in Bloomington, so that's a big thing. There's going to be a lot of people over there, really amped up. Team is, we're going to see. We're going to see what they have, but again, you're going to give me 30 points to start the week at home. I do like that a little bit more than going the other way.
That's Brent Holverson right there, everybody, the architect here at Mystic Waters Campground and of our Labor Day weekend bender. Heaven Hill Distillery also combining this with Backyard Bourbon Broadcast, too. So everybody come on out. Get off work early. It's not like anybody's doing jack squat anyway. I mean, come on out here and join us. I mean, look, Rick Venturi's walking up here right now. I mean, Rick gets out here. We're going to talk some Colts with Rick coming up in a minute, so everybody come on out.
Come on out and enjoy. This is it's wide open. There's free. There's no charge to come out and see this tonight. So come on out and enjoy. And, again, we've got plenty of spots to camp. You've got an RV. Great spots to go ahead and camp up for the entire weekend. Beautiful Labor Day weekend coming up here. 80 degrees and beautiful. Yep. You know, come out and join us.
Cabin number 39.
Cabin 39.
The party spot this weekend,
That's right.
everybody. All right. We'll talk with you coming up in a minute. I'm ready cocktail-wise,
yes,
too.
I will be right back, my friend.
I think I'm ready to lean into it now.
There we go. All right. I love it.
That is my good friend Brent Holverson here, Heaven Hill Distillery. Our Backyard Bourbon Broadcast is here at Mystic Waters Campground, I-69 and the Pendleton exit. About 20 minutes away from Rick Venturi, who's going to join us and talk a ton of Colts here. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, week 3 of the high school football season, let's bring on board from Indiana Sports Talk tonight and tomorrow night, Network Indiana affiliates across the state. It is our friend Bob Lovell who joins us now. Hello, Bob. How you doing?
John, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You know what? The only better spot you could be is up here enjoying the weekend with us. The only thing better you could be doing.
Do you have a pool?
Well, we have a lake. We have a lake. Well, I know you have a pool, so you're going to be poolside when you're not talking up, right? When you're not talking up on the show, you're going to be poolside, right?
Actually, I pulled myself away from the pool to do this interview, so I'm getting, I'm working out. I'm getting my routine. That's show prep by the pool.
Yeah, yes, there's no doubt about that. There is a lot going on in this week number 3. Go ahead though. Let's rewind a little bit. Tell me what your thoughts were on the first 2 weeks we've seen.
I think the first 2 weeks were pretty neat in a sense that you got a chance to see some teams play in different geographic areas. And we've talked about this before. You got some of the Fort Wayne schools to play, some of the Central Indiana, Marion County teams. There were other types of situations around the state. But, normally you don't see the Fort Wayne, the Snyders and Lures and those kinds of teams play teams outside of Fort Wayne because the conference affiliation and scheduling as it is. And so those things have changed a little bit. And I think it gives opportunities for everybody to play better teams. And, the Indianapolis area has had great success in winning championships. And I think if you're in the Fort Wayne area or in areas other than Central Indiana, you want to play these teams in Indianapolis and find out what you are, how you compare, and what you need to do to improve to be able to challenge for a championship. So I think that certainly seems to have worked for the teams involved in that in these first 2 weeks. We've seen a lot of points scored. We've seen a whole lot of points scored in the first 2 weeks. And, the question is, everybody ready to go? Conference play tonight. I think you're beginning to see teams separate themselves, if you will, in terms of who's legit, even though you're 2 weeks into it and there's still a lot more to be played. But tonight may be one of those nights, John, where this might be the Friday night with as good a game statewide as we'll see all year long, because there's some really tremendous games all over the state.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Bob Lovell, Indiana Sports Talk's got you covered on all of it later on tonight. We'll start with our high school football game of the week, brought to you by your 14 Central Indiana Joe Childers Run CarX locations. You got Trinity out of Louisville, Kentucky, and you have Center Grove. Center Grove looked like that they bounced back nicely against Jackson, Tennessee last week after that loss on the road in Canton, Ohio the week prior, which was a huge test. Listen, I know he doesn't want to lose, and he doesn't want to lose, but I bet you Eric Moore is cool with trying to figure out and then figuring out exactly what these guys are doing and getting everything in place. He probably took a lot away from that week 1 that helped him out in week number 2 last week.
Well, he hasn't won 3 straight championships without a reason. I mean, he is a tremendous tactician, a tremendous motivator. I think he has some obviously new faces at certain spots, and so they're trying to find their way along. It was an impressive win for them last week, without question. Their murderous opening part of their schedule continues with an always good Trinity team out of Louisville. And, you know, we talk about that improvement from game 1 to game 2, and you're trying to continue it obviously now from game 2 to game 3. And so it's another very important game for them. But you had to feel better, much, much better about who you are as a team and as a group and what you did last week.
How difficult is it when you know these games are so incredibly valuable? Regardless, and I know Center Grove's schedule is a lot different than everybody else's. How difficult is it week after week, especially, you know, with a beginning loss, for example, to shake that off, go back to work, refocus, and then go at it the next week? Because these things all of a sudden now start coming at you incredibly rapid fire.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to do for adults, let alone 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And so, you know, as a player, you're frustrated because you're buying into what the coach is having you do. You've been to the workouts. You're trying to make yourself better physically. You're trying to get better as a team. And to not win, that's disappointing. And to not win more than once is disappointing. And you can talk to kids all you want to about this is a great schedule and this will benefit us later on. They need that immediate payback. They need that immediate reward. And so it's really difficult for you to keep your kids zeroed in and play at the level they need to play. We're playing that difficult to schedule. And I applaud Coach Moore and others who've been able to do it. It's not an easy thing to do by any means.
Hey, okay, Rick Venturi's here with me right now. He wants to know if Noblesville, if the Millers are for real.
They really are. No, they are. I mean, I tell you what, you know, all of Hamilton County is for real, to be honest. And so they've stepped their games up. They've struggled, obviously, in the last 2 or 3 years, but this is legit. They have played very, very well. They got some really, I think, very talented. Some of their skill players are really talented. They are a legit football team. And, again, when everyone around you is elevating their play, you have to reach down and figure out a way to keep up with them. And it's a very competitive situation.
No doubt about that. And I'm thinking about this, for example. How about Franklin Central, getting off to that 2-0 start now?
Right.
They're going to get a test tonight against 2-0 Brownsburg, certainly. But coming off that 26 win over Roncalli last weekend, how about that nice start at Franklin Central?
Well, it's impressive. I think that they, again, a good win over Roncalli. Roncalli, I think, is a solid football team. I think we all know that. They'll find out much more about themselves, obviously, against Brownsburg tonight. You have one of the most explosive offenses in the state. You got to figure out a way. You have to figure out a way to score, move the chains, as they like to say, and you can't give up big plays against Brownsburg, or it's going to be a long, long night for you. So, yeah, it's one of those situations where you're playing better. You rank 14th at Franklin Central for a reason. You got good players, but you have maybe one of, if not the best team on your schedule coming in tonight.
4-5 in 5A clash this evening. Decatur Central 2-0 on the season, 1-1 Whiteland down in Johnson County, Bob, later on this evening.
Well, Decatur Central is off to a really, really good start. I mean, they had some guys back from last year, had a nice run. They struggled a little bit early last year. Whiteland played for a championship, lost a number of those kids, trying to move people to different spots, taking them a while. I think they're struggling right now to find some identity and make some consistency in terms of plays on both sides of the ball. Nice little it's a great conference matchup, mid-state conference matchup between two really good football teams.
So Bob Lovell, Indiana Sports Talk, coming up tonight, tomorrow night. You can find, obviously, throughout Network Indiana affiliation, as always, every Friday and Saturday night. Let's go a little bit south here. I mean, as the numbers get smaller in terms of class size, the South starts to step up with better teams. Let's look in the South right now. In terms of the best in the South, is Evansville Reitz at 2-0, Class 4A, maybe at the top of that list to begin with?
Well, Reitz is as good as anybody down there. I don't think there's any question. It's a situation where, they've been good for a long, long time. I think Castle is a good football team, too. But I think Reitz, if you obviously you look at the at the polls. They're clearly at or near the top of all that. And so I think for most people, when you think about what they've been able to accomplish at Wrights over the long haul, they're really solid. I think right now they're probably the best of the bunch, although there's a whole lot of football to be played. But a good place to start. Wrights is good. Mater Dei is good again. John, they're ranked highly in 2A. They're legit. So, some tremendous teams down in the Evansville area, without question.
Yeah, so Bob Lovell's with us. So I mentioned Roncalli, 1-1, and certainly they lost an absolute ton from that team a year ago. And with Chittard, they're reloading at 2-0. Those two teams coming up later on this evening too, Bob.
Well, Chittard is really good. I mean, and this will be a great match. It's always a great matchup, but Chittard rolling. They're playing, Chittard football. Roncalli obviously coming off a loss. It's a big game for them. There's no question. You're 1/3 of the way into your season. You need a win. You're on the road. If you're on Cali, you need to bounce back. But you're playing a very, very good football team that will run the ball at you, make you have to make plays. Big thing for, I think, Roncalli here is defensively, you got to create some turnovers, and you clearly have to take advantage of them because you don't want to let Chittard just dominate the ball, which they're clearly capable of doing.
Hey, Bob, before I let you go, too, looks like we have a southeast side of Indianapolis #1 battle between 2A and Class A later on tonight. Yeah. Triton Central and Lutheran clash in a Week 3. That's a nice Week 3 matchup right there.
No, it really is. I mean, Triton Central, Tim Abel's been there a long time. Great coach. Dave Pash, tremendous coach at Lutheran. Everybody knows Lutheran's gone back-to-back. Very capable of making it 3 in a row. This is really, to be honest, a game between. This would also almost be, John, like a state championship matchup. Both these teams are capable of winning the 1A the championship, and so how these kind of games boil down to. You got to take care of the ball, get the ball in the end zone. It's a big, strong front line for Lutheran on both sides of the football. Some really skilled players back from last year's championship team. You're talking about maybe in terms of the caliber of play and evenness of play, this may be the best team in the entire state.
Bob Lovell, Indiana Sports Talk tonight, tomorrow night's going to have you covered with everything this evening, and then all the college football from Purdue, Fresno State, IU, Ohio State, and then some coming up tomorrow night for you. Indiana Sports Talk, year number 30 with Bob Lovell with us. Brought to you by your 14 Central Indiana CarX locations, carx.com for that location nearest you. All right, time to get out of the pool for good and get ready for a night of high school football. All right, you got a big show coming up.
John, I actually think I'll go back in and catch a little more quality time and delay my start, okay? How's that?
By the way, that voice you hear right here is Rick Venturi. Rick Venturi is doing a lot of work right here. Bob, Rick, Bob.
Yeah,
hey, Rick.
great to hear you, Bob. No question about that. I asked you about the Millers because I've got a future Miller. He's on the Grinders right now, and that's Austin Venturi is going to be a part of that program. So I'm kind of on top of that one.
Well, as I said, they've struggled in the last 3 or 4 years. And listen, I don't have to tell you, the caliber of play in Hamilton County, that sectional's one of the hardest ones to win. But they've just stayed the course. The kids have just gotten better and better. And clearly there's a lot of reasons to be excited about Miller football right now.
There you go, Bob. You have a great weekend, great Labor Day weekend, and we'll talk at you again next Friday.
John, as always, thanks. I appreciate it very much.
It's Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talk. You heard the voice. Rick Venturi is here. We're at Mystic Waters Campground, the site of our Labor Day weekend bender. What do you think, Rick?
Oh,
Could you hang out here for a while?
This is absolutely beautiful. And, of course, 38, to Hoosier Park up here. This is my country. This is my motorcycle. If I'd have known where I was going to be able to park, I would have rode the chopper out here. It's such a fabulous day.
Oh, man. So we got a lot to talk about here, and I've already warned people that there's not going to be a great deal of Jonathan Taylor. Let me tell you, people are pretty cool with it. I think people are pretty exhausted with the subject in general.
Yeah, and you know what? In reality, all we've done is continue the Days of Our Lives saga.
Yes,
really,
have.
I mean, we've just taken everybody off the hook for 4 more weeks. But you know, it's upsetting to me. I thought Jonathan Taylor, in my 40 years of either coaching or covering the game, was certainly one of the most exciting players that I've ever covered. And he was a joyful player. He's the face of the franchise. 10 runs over 50 yards, 50 runs over 10 yards. So, I mean, you have greatness right there. You know, and to see this development, to see him walking around the field with the hoodie and now the frown, and just the whole package is really upsetting. And in the end here, nobody's winning. I mean, the Colts aren't winning. Jonathan's not winning. Somebody that wants Jonathan's not winning. So, and again, all the PUP for another month is doing is just putting it off.
Prolonging the agony.
It's just kicking the can, really. And I don't really think anything. The moment of truth will come. The moment of truth will come when the Colts medical staff at some point says you're ready. Now, that might not be possible because, as was explained in the press conference, there's residual pain and he's not ready. And of course, that I've coached for so long. I mean, different people react different ways.
Yeah.
There's no two guys react the same thing. But, as long as that is the caveat, I don't know. But if you have a problem in Circle City, if and when the Colts training staff says you're okay, now he has to make a decision. And then if he goes the wrong way, I've been through all that. I know all about that stuff. So, hopefully again in the 4 weeks he will get healthy.
Probably never would have thought people would be comparing the two right now.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and if you would have said that this was going to be a development to me in June, I'd have said you're crazy.
Yeah.
And of course, in training camp, because there's so many people, there's not games of any significance. None of that news. It's there. You talk about it, but it's not imminent. Now, when you're getting ready for the Jaguars a week from Sunday, all of a sudden things take on a much more importance.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about all that. And if you guys have any questions, too, do not hesitate. Call James at 239-1070. And we will get you on here with any of your questions you might have. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live, on Twitter at JMV 1070. We have an hour with Rick Venturi. I'm going to also set the camera so it's not on the shadowed figure that is me and get us both right here. But I do give you a great shot of the lake. The lake behind us looks spectacular, doesn't it?
God. I drive by this place, it seems like every other day, but I've actually never driven down in the cabins. What a cool place to spend a weekend or some time. My God, this is awesome.
All ready to get loose up in here. It is the Labor Day weekend bender with Heaven Hill Distillery. Today is also a Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. I just saw Richard come in here with our Ford's Garage food. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Harley D. Good to see you guys. So the food is here. The beverage is here. Ryan Stoltz over there, New Belgium Brewing and Bell's Brewery. They've combined assets now. So the beer is here. All we need is you to get started on the Labor Day weekend. But we got all the Colts conversation you need on the other side. Rick Venturi joins us from the radio network, the former NFL coach. We're live from Mystic Waters Campground. It is a Labor Day weekend Friday. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live. Get there if you guys want to see exactly what you're missing right now. The stream, the app, HD Radio at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. We're at Mystic Waters Campground. We're starting the Labor Day weekend bender in style here with this show. We'll go into the Colts happy hour. DJ Skids will be here to entertain coming up later on tonight, so join us. This is also a Backyard Bourbon broadcast, so Heaven Hill Distillery, of course, is here. New Belgium Brewing is here. Ford's Garage is here with the food, so join us just right off of the Pendleton exit off of I-69. And this is going to be a great time, great weekend. The JMV Takeover is going to be live for the first time tomorrow night right here, too. It is going to be fantastic. Also fantastic is Rick Venturi, who rejoins us right now. And you mentioned Pendleton being a picture postcard type of town. It is. It is awesome over there.
It's one of my favorite places. The little antiques, just the vibe when you're there. It really is a cool place to live. No question about it. And actually, right on the expressway, you can get downtown pretty quick.
Until you get down near Castleton and then you get stopped in traffic.
In a second. Like I said, this is my motorcycle country out here coming out of that Morse Reservoir. All these back roads, man, I know them very well.
Stay away from that loose gravel, my friend.
I do.
No loose gravel.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, the Colts may be starting a season in some loose gravel themselves right here, let's just say. And we've documented the whole Jonathan Taylor situation. You know, maybe some numbers a little bit later on as to when Chris the other day was talking about 4-12, and you know this is who we are right now or whatever. We'll get to that in a second, but let's start with Anthony Richardson because I think that is going to have the most profound effect with the absence of Jonathan Taylor without question. What do you think from what you've seen so far from the rookie?
Well, I will say this. I'll start out with a little bit of hyperbole. In the autumn of my life, in the autumn of my career here, it is going to be my joy to watch this kid develop. There's no question about it. I very seldom, and you know me, John, like a book. I don't give you a company line. Nothing is filtered. Everything is unfiltered. Very seldom do I ever actually like a kid who we drafted better 5 weeks after I've watched him than I do this kid. And here's what I mean by that. You know, and if you actually just look at, I looked every practice since rookie minicamp, every joint practice, every preseason game, every big play that happened, every wow play that happened was Anthony Richardson.
Right.
Whether it's the long throw that was dropped, the seam, the big corner pattern, some of the runs, some of the designed runs, some of the escapes. You know, it really almost looked like, and I don't mean to be negative, almost like John, it was almost like Anthony and the Pips. Yeah, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
and I think that is
that's a great reference, by the way, right there.
That is a bit of a problem. Now, what I see in Anthony, and a couple of the reasons that he's really grown on me. One, it took nothing to look at combine results, watch the combine. I mean, Miss Sherry could go to the combine and walk out there and say, this guy is unique. Right. This is unprecedented. These numbers are unprecedented. Excuse me. But what I've seen and what's been impressive to me is, John, he brings more quarterback skills, to the table. First of all, I didn't expect him to be as comfortable in the pocket as he is. He actually is very poised in the pocket. I thought he would be a one-look and run guy. He is not. He will go through the progression. At this point, maybe a little bit too long because it takes him a little time to process it. Number two, he's got good quarterback mechanics. Terrific release. It's compact. Ball comes out, tight spiral, comes out of there really, really good. And then he has great football character, okay? And how do I define football character? Number one, he has a high football IQ. He's a workaholic. He's a team-first guy. He's humble. And he has a charisma about him. It's not like Peyton, the ringmaster, but it's a presence. He walks out of the field. There's just a presence. Part of it is the voice, the whole deal, the whole package. Now, he does only have 13 games under his belt. I don't think he has a very good supporting cast. So there's going to be bumps in the road. I mean, this thing isn't going to just take off. I will say that at some point, I think the merging of Steichen, who I like very much, if you want to talk about him, he is the perfect coach for Richardson and his development. And I will say that at some point in time, there will be greatness there. Now, the problem right now is he doesn't have a lot of great players around him. I mean, we don't have the ambient guys, receivers, running backs. I think our offensive line is going to be better again. I think that's going to be a plus. And the things that he has to work on, you know, when people talk about accuracy, I always talk about Sunday accuracy versus Saturday accuracy. On Saturdays, quarterbacks throw to open receivers. On Sundays, you throw receivers open. Now, how does that affect Richardson? Right. This is what I mean by that. On Sunday, you have to anticipate where the receiver is going to be and where the defender is going to end up. Not where he is, right. Where he's going to end up. And that takes an amount of processing that's going to take time. Now, if he doesn't play, if you back him up and he watches, he's not going to get better. So you got to live with those things. What I see more than an inaccuracy of mechanics, of pure passing, is when he gets clouded, when he doesn't process something and doesn't see it right away, he tends to hold it, reload, and then try to make an athletic play, which he probably made as a kid his whole life. And when he does that, he gets kind of off rhythm, off balance. I think when he reloaded and tried to throw the screen at Buffalo and got intercepted, that's an example of that. You know, and I think sometimes a great athlete, I never had this problem, but a great athlete has to kind of learn on when to fold them. You know, there's times it's just not there. Right. It's not going to be there. Put it in the dirt, take the sack, whatever. So, I mean, I think those things are going to take some time, but I think he has the perfect coach who just went through it with Jalen Hurts, who took Jalen Hurts from A to Z. Now, there's one thing I haven't talked a lot about, and I'll talk about it with you. A lot of my peers, a lot of coaches who came up in my era, they haven't stayed up with this style of football. The difference in 1999 and playing today, in today's game, a kid like Richardson brings 50% of the game with them. Yeah. Peyton Manning came in, and he had to learn the whole pro game, hand the ball off, every sophisticated coverage known to man. All the zone reads, the RPOs that he's been running in college, he brings that with him. So what the Colts have to do is they have to develop him on NFL situational football. Third down where there's, you know, blitzes, a lot of sophistication, red zone, you know, and when he struggled in practice, it's been in those areas. And the other thing that I think is going to affect him, and it was when we worked out against Philadelphia last Tuesday, it hit me right between the eyes. It really did. Not that I don't know this, but sometimes when you look at it from the press box or you look at it on tape, you get one view. Here's what I saw at Philadelphia, and we're going to mirror Philadelphia. Philadelphia is where we want to be. Yeah. I mean, once we drafted Richardson, we changed the landscape of Colt football. Yeah. You guys are talking about reboot, reload, all that. It's a reshaping. Sure. Because you're never going to look the same since we've been here. This is totally different. But what Philadelphia does is they can establish the running game with Jalen Hurts as the primary guy. They are quarterback run-centric. And when they do that, they force you to come down with your safeties and what I call load the box. And we did a good job in that Tuesday practice. We took away the run. We basically took away Hurts. But you know what happened? A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith said, okay, you play us that way. They would have had probably 28 or 35 points to those guys because they immediately just go downfield, throw the ball on the outside of the numbers, throw it down there for touchdowns. And really, without those receivers, they'd be a really good team, but they'd be more around 500. Well, those guys make them a championship team. You know, and at this point, we haven't had anybody that has proven it to me, and I hope I'm proven totally wrong, that is going to, you know, they're going to poke fear in anybody outside the numbers.
So Rick Venturi is with us, Mystic Waters Campground, and quick thing, and then we'll go to break here regarding the Colts. And you brought this up because with the wide receivers the Colts have, the thing I still notice that has been apparent forever, zero separation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think
that's
Richardson,
fair.
I think with Richardson, what you're talking about is trying to do it overall now, using his athleticism, and I think that also holds true with his cannon of an arm. He's going to try to stuff that ball in there sometimes when there's nothing. Like, to me, unfortunately, I visualize so many deflections that end up turning into defensive interceptions going the different way because he's going to force things because his receivers rarely find any window of separation with their defenders.
I think that's fair, and I think it's been really apparent this summer. I actually thought that we looked better a year ago.
I did too.
You know, even with Pierce, I thought we looked better a year ago. You know, Pittman has always been a possession, short, first, second level guy. He's never been a guy that beats anybody deep. And Pierce was that guy who we thought could take the top off the defense. But I think he struggled. Now, maybe he will. But if I'll phrase your question a little bit a different way, because what I look at is when I get ready for a team, and when I look at us, I look at it through the prism of a defensive coordinator looking at our offense. So what is a defensive coordinator going to do? He's going to say, what we can't do is let Richardson beat us with his legs. Yeah. I mean, his wild plays this summer are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's run over people. Yeah, the other night it's third and 15. He runs for 16.
Yeah.
We get a call back. It looked like that's what happens in 12-year-old football. So you're going to say, okay, we are going to shut off the edge, no matter how many guys it takes. We're not going to let you beat Richardson. We'll bring pressure on third down, fill every lane. We're not going to let him go. And we're going to say, we're going to play you one-on-one. We're going to press you. You got Pittman and Pierce. You beat us one-on-one outside the numbers. And that's what the game's going to come down to. Now, Richardson's already shown you he can throw the deep ball. All these kids coming out of college, the one thing they can do, they can really throw the deep ball. And he can throw the deep ball. But, again, I really think our season, is at least offensively, is going to come down to what can we accomplish outside the numbers. That I think it's all about that. And we only have 4 guys on the team. Now we will have more. So, I mean, it's really going to come down to Pierce stepping up, Pittman stepping up. I really think that's it.
So, Rick Venturi right there. If you guys have anything you want to talk about at 239-1070, you can. You can also send me something at JMV 1070 as well. Mystic Waters Campground. It is our Labor Day weekend bender just getting underway. Rick Venturi's here until 4:30. So we've got more still to come, including the defense and including a lot of we were a 4-win team regarding how they've handled things, in particular Jonathan Taylor. We'll get to the basics of that with Rick coming up here as well. Mystic Waters Campground on a Friday. Get you set for your Labor Day weekend. It's also it's also a Backyard Bourbon broadcast. And we've got the food. We've got the beverages here. So join us. Mystic Waters Campground. We're outside of Pendleton on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Mystic Waters Campground off of I-69 Pendleton exit. You can join us here. It is a Backyard Bourbon Broadcast to start with, and what is going to be our Labor Day weekend bender is what we're doing up here. You can join us. Hopefully you're staying up here already, but if you're not, you can join us anytime over the weekend, and we shall see you. Rick Venturi is kind enough to join us for the better part of an hour right here. I want to get to the cornerback situation. Everybody was kind of wondering why Darius Rush was jettisoned and then immediately picked up by the Super Bowl champion team in Kansas City. What does that look like, and then why was that the move, you think, for the Colts?
I was awed by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still shocked by it. I mean, why at a position of tremendous need where we have nothing but unknowns going into the season, and this kid is by far the fastest corner at 4.36, and he actually had good moments early in camp. Now, you know, he got torched a little bit late. Maybe there's a problem they don't like, but I was, you know, and then we keep like 1,000 defensive tackles, some of which, I mean, they're really on the witness. There's a couple guys we kept at defensive tackle that, I mean, they're on the witness protection program. I don't,
people tell me Chris has changed his philosophy.
You would have to tell me, and to give up a potential corner like that is maddening. You know, I will say that this is a position, and I don't think we're going to know. I mean, I don't, you know, it's one thing to be here in practice. You know, we really never took a snap against the number one defense, not one, in all training camp, not a live snap. We did have, you know, good practices in the joint practices. You know, we went in with real question marks, and I thought that Baker and Flowers actually competed. They both do have speed. They're both an identical 4.43. They're both competitors. And I thought that they basically held up decently until they got against those top guys at Philadelphia, and then they showed their warts. But, you know, not a lot of depth. Juju seems like he's injured. Doesn't seem, you know, he's a ways away. You know, at this point, you know, Jones looks a little bit more.
What's Kenny Moore look like to you?
You know, Kenny is on it. You know, Kenny was out of it mentally a year ago, and it showed in his play. I think he's really ready. I think he's, particularly at the nickel, I think he'll have another good year.
So Rick Venturi right there. We'll take a break and come back. Now, all right, Chris Ballard referenced once or twice at that press conference the other day, we won 4 games last year. I want to get down to that, in particular in how it pertained to Jonathan Taylor and what is going to be now his prolonged absence if he ever returns again. Rick, you hold tight. We'll get to that on the other side and some more on the defensive side of the football. Mystic Waters Campground. It is a Backyard Bourbon Broadcast with Heaven Hill Distillery Forge Garage. New Belgium Brewing here in Pendleton off of I-69. You can see us, and it is a gorgeous day. Hour 2 and more with Rick Venturi coming up. Hey, welcome back, Mystic Waters Campground. It is the Labor Day weekend bender just getting underway here. Remember, after this show, actually I end at 7 because I have Colts Happy Hour, but after me, DJ Skids is going to come up here and entertain. And then tomorrow we get the JMV takeover tomorrow night. So hopefully you're staying up here. If you're not, I want you to come by and join the party because the party is going to be going all weekend long. Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. A shout out to Richard and Ford's Garage for bringing the food. New Belgium Brewing is combined with Bell's Brewery. And Ryan Stoltz over there has just fantastic levels of beer for you. You want to check that out. Of course, Brent Holverson of Heaven Hill Distillery has all your cocktails, and he is making them right now. Let's get back to hour 2. By the way, Mike Wells, bottom of the hour. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers. IU Ohio State tomorrow. Purdue Fresno State tomorrow. Discussions regarding all that coming up. Rejoined now from the Colts Radio Network, the former coach Rick Venturi joins us. All right, I mentioned this. I knew we weren't going to talk too much about Jonathan Taylor, and I know everybody listening right now is thrilled with that in mind. But this is with respect to what Chris Ballard had to say, a 4-win team. We're a 4-win team. Well, wait a minute. Taylor is your most dynamic player, and you don't want it. Well, we're a 4-win team, meaning either you blame it on Taylor or you're evaluating absolutely everything. Whatever. In terms of the necessity of Jonathan Taylor this season, which they're not going to have at least for the first 4 games, and then compare it with last year, and what was an injury-plagued season for him and a 4-win season, but where should the blame be? Like, where does he rank in the hierarchy of blame for this 4-win team, Rick, last year?
Well, I would only say this. Between reason 1 and reason 100 for that 4-12-1, and I'm going to get into the reasons, I would say Jonathan Taylor would be about 150.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not about 150.
Just be completely off the charts.
And, and you know, to imply that if the implication is about him, it's a little bit cliche-ish. I was with Belichick back in Cleveland, and if we were having a bad day on the practice field, he might turn around to the starting offense and say, hey, I can find 11 better guys than you at Foxborough High School or at Berea High School. But it would always be in jest in that sense. Right. And I prefer to take the Ted Marchibroda approach is you win because of and in spite of different guys. And so, you know, you can be 4-12 and have a great player. Walter Payton played on a lot of bad teams.
He did.
If you want to put it on Walter until they really got some good players
around him. Yeah.
Here's the reality of the 4-12-1. And I could go through a million things, but for the fans, I'm going to bring it down to my big 6. This is why you're 4-12-1. All right, number 1, the first 2 things are team issues, both offense and defense. Okay, first, number 1, and this alone killed the season. In turnover differential, the Colts were 32nd, minus 13. The year before, in 2021, we were number 2 in the league with a plus 14.
Because of Shaquille Leonard for the most part.
Yeah, and not turning the ball over.
Right.
I mean, it's because it's both ways. You
right.
turn it over, you don't take it away. But at the end of the day, minus 14. If you're not in the top 10 turnover ratio, the only team ever to violate that was the Rams, the greatest show on turf. Number 2, red zone offense and defense. The efficiency was awful. 29th on offense. And again, on defense, and I think a lot of our defensive ills were masked because so much attention was placed on the quarterback and the lack of offense. And I think our defense got a pass. They were 32nd in the red zone, dead last. Now, here's 2 offensive stats. And the reason I'm bringing these up, these have to change. If we're going to go from 4-12 to competitive in the division, then these have to change. You know, on offense, number 30 in scoring, 17 points a game. When did we ever think since 1998 that a Colt team would be 30?
No doubt.
In scoring. Yeah. I mean, that's just
17 points a game sounds ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have to, in modern day football, I used to say, from a defensive standpoint, if you hold somebody to 20, you probably are a playoff. No, I used to say, actually, we say 17. Now it's probably 24.
Right.
The game is wide open. But 17, if you're only getting 17, you're not winning. And then in sacks, 3.5 a game to be 31st. So not scoring points, getting your quarterback knocked to hell, those two things. But then on defense, now these are a little bit surprising, and these killed us. And yet I think it's glossed over, and I'm going to be watching this really closely, is in fourth quarter defense, when you had to stop them, this is it. Game's on the line. And I really believe had we been able to do this, despite our team not being very good, we'd have been a 500 team. 31st. 31st in the league in the fourth quarter. And the NFL is very much like the NBA today. It's going to come down to the last 4 minutes. We set a record last year of the shortest point differential. I think it's 8.1. I mean, all games are one-possession games. Yeah. It's a parity league. And if you're 31st and you can't stop them when you have to, that's your fault. And then here's the thing that kills me, and this has been killing me. This killed me through the Eberflus era, and it's killing me again, is the quarterback's rating against us is 96.2, which is number 30. So, I mean, you got quarterback rating, you got fourth quarter defense, lack of scoring, sacks, and then the two biggest team issues is the turnover differential and red zone efficiency. And until that changes, okay, if you want to say why were you 4-12, that's why you're 4-12.
Well, and there's no doubt. And, a lot of people thought maybe that was a pointed finger at Jonathan Taylor or whatever. But you know what? I gathered all that information from him, and I was thinking about it. And we were talking about this during the break. That is, for anybody that remembers the Bill Polian Manning era, that was completely opposite. The numbers you read off were opposite of anything of that golden era, which we saw such a high amount of success to where we expect that today. Completely opposite.
Ross.
Yeah.
No, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
It's inverted. And, I really think a lot of it, in many cases, has to do with roster building, okay? And this is something that I think I've become more aware of the longer I've been into it. Sometimes when you watch the game from a little bit of distance than being right in the middle of it, I think sometimes you actually see a clearer, bigger picture. And, when you look at Ross, people say, well, what's the Colts roster like? What's this team's roster? Well, you're going to have to define roster to me, okay? Because I actually believe the way the NFL salary cap is right now, the hard cap, the X amount of dollars, that 85% of the money is going to 15% of the players, starting now with exorbitant quarterback money, okay? But the league is based on parity. It doesn't matter if you're coaching in Los Angeles or Indianapolis. You're still dealing out of the same deck. The difference is not the middle or end of the roster. In other words, John, if you're coaching at New England, I think your number 25 is going to be the same as my 25, going to be the same as the Rams 25. Your number 35, your number 52, because the salary cap dictates a certain kind of guy there. The difference in winning and losing, okay, is based on the top 10 to 12 guys on your roster. And by that I mean you've got to have the difference makers, the game changers in that top 10 players. And along with that it also carries what is the position value. So you got to have a great quarterback, number one. Now, at least we've taken a step there. But at the end of the day, when you look at Polian's team, what they have? Hall of Fame receivers, obviously Hall of Fame quarterback, great running back, and two great edge rushers. And then the rest of it, they coached, to be honest with you. That was it. And if you look at the model, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Kansas City over the years, that's what they have. That is exactly what they have. And so to me, the problem that the Colts have is we have so much money tied up in positions of lower value, okay? You don't have those game changers in that top 10, both offensively and defensively. When I was a rookie coach in 1982, I had an old personnel director who had been Don Shula's Baltimore Colts. And he said something to me that has stuck forever, and it's as true today as it was in 1982. He said to me, when you draft high, you take one of two things. Guys who put the ball in the end zone or guys who knock the quarterback down.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Full stop. End of the discussion.
And that stood the test of time.
It has.
Yeah.
You look at the Cincinnatis. You look at those top teams. Philadelphia. I just told you, I watched Philadelphia up close in person. They would have a really good team, period. But at the end of the day, they've got those two outside receivers that just torch you. They have those edge rushers that just torch you. You know, and it's really not about your guards and your center. It's about your perimeter players, your skilled players, and that's where the void is here.
That's so weird for me, too, because I brought this up. Rick Venturi joins us. We're at Mystic Waters Campground. The Labor Day weekend bender is officially underway on this show. And, all right, so, you know, he mentioned, you know, left guard getting money, you know, giving extensions in the past, left guard, linebacker, whatever. It is so curious to me. And I think this is more of a Jim thing than it is anybody in this, too. But so curious they've decided to draw a complete line in the sand with a guy this year in Taylor that clearly you and I both know they need desperately.
Well, you know, I think you can look at it different ways. And I have no way of knowing this except that I know the personality. I will have a tough time. I have a tough time. You and I talked about this off air. I have a tough time believing that Jimmy Irsay would ever step in the way of paying his star money.
There is
absolutely no historical data to that. If anything, with Jim over the years, if you wanted somebody, if you told him you had to have him, if anything, he would overpay.
Why has that changed?
I don't think it has. I'm not buying into.
So you don't think it's Jim? I'm
not buying into that Jimmy is stalling this. Now, it's a little bit of a perfect storm. I think, you know, number one, the change in agents really affected it really affected JT attitudinally. In April, he was ready to go. But with the change of agents, all of a sudden the demeanor changed, and all of a sudden we went from a joyful guy to a guy with a hoodie and frowning, and all of a sudden we're going to take a tougher stand on this now. We're going from full-out team guy to tougher stand, okay? The Colts, regardless of whose decision, it's a Colt decision, for some reason, you know, have no penchant to increase them. They don't. No. I mean, if they did, they would have, okay? And then you have the perfect storm of the position devaluation, and there's no question about that. And I'm not so sure in my gut that Steichen doesn't have a little influence on that, because at Philadelphia, I think they believe that backs are interchangeable. Now, why do I say that? Because they just let a guy, 1,200 yards, 1,200 and change, I think 1,259. They just let Sanders go, just let him go straight out, because they think that's a plug-and-play situation.
And see, that's something that we don't know yet.
Yeah, and we don't know if that's right or wrong. But I'm just saying there is a history there where all of a sudden that value wasn't that great, and obviously you see Chicago, you see Barkley, you see Jacobs, getting just a little bit beyond that the franchise tag money, which is about what it is. And so you kind of have this perfect storm. And then when you start having comments outside to the media, then if things get personal, they get more difficult and more difficult. But it will be interesting. The thing that, we can talk about system, and I like to talk about system because I think the modern day offense, with the Allens, with the Lamar Jacksons, with Jonathan, okay, I mean. With Anthony. I mean, these offenses now are quarterback-centric run offenses, so a lot of the running game is done with RPOs and zone reads. And by that I mean the quarterback makes the decision at the line and the handoff. If it's a light box, I'm giving it to him. If not, I'm taking it. So, it's not like you're turning around, handing to the running back 35 times like we used to, or 25 times. So that devaluation has continued. Now, the only thing that I'll say is it's still a game of big plays and home run hitters. And Jonathan Taylor was the one home run hitter on a team that hits nothing but singles.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had, again, it's 10 runs over 50. You know, it's 50 runs over 10. And in terms of his first 3 years, more rushing yardage per carry than any back in history. So, how do you define greatness there? I'm not sure myself.
Well, I mean, unless there's something else going on behind the scenes, and you know, I have my views and thoughts. You have yours as well. Rick Venturi, by the way, joins us. It makes 0 sense, and really for both sides, as we've talked about. Because obviously Jonathan Taylor and his representation have a lot to do with this, and there have been missteps everywhere. I don't know why. If you're going to draw the line in the sand, if Chris Ballard is making this this philosophical change, it's going to take a while because he's going against the grain of what he had thought for the first 6 years that clearly didn't work. But why you would take the stand in this particular moment with that player and the fashion in which they have done makes 0 sense to me.
Well,
none.
I think you have to read between the lines a little bit. I think the 4-12 implication is there. I don't think it's as subtle as everybody's making it. I think that implication is we can go at 4-12 playing with anybody. And also, I think what nobody's talking about is new coaching staff. And I do think that this offense coming in is totally different than anything we've ever seen. And I don't think that they value the running back as we're used to the running back being valued. Now, what they value is those outside receivers. Because if you got a quarterback that's going to force you to play 8-9 in a box, then the way you beat that is with Devontae Smith, and with A.J. Brown. And Shane is going to find out pretty quickly he don't have those two guys in his golf bag.
There's no doubt. I mean, that is a change in philosophy of Chris Ballard, too, because it's always been up front, both sides of the football. That's where you start. And you know what? All these philosophies and all these sayings we've heard, wanting all this depth here and depth there, and you find yourself going into year number 7 with Chris, and there's no depth anywhere. And the only depth, really, the best depth you have, I guess it's ironic here, is a quarterback.
Well,
and you don't want to see him. You don't want to see Gardner Minshew play. But if you're looking for the best depth you have, it's at that position.
That's a good point. I mean, you're basically you've taken the kid fourth. I'm tremendous with it. I think inevitably, and I don't think tomorrow. I think that Young may be better than him initially, but in the long run, this guy is going to be the best of them all. And I do think.
Do you think Anthony's going to be better than anybody?
Oh, I think he's going to be better. And I do believe in my gut. And Jimmy said it to me. Jim Irsay said it to me on the interview. Not a couple weeks ago in the booth that he would have taken Richardson if he had the number 1 pick. And I believe that. I actually totally believe that from the beginning of the draft process, out of the combine to the rest of the way.
I think Chris had to be talked into that too.
Well,
right?
and I think what to me what ended up happening there, in my book, and this is a gut feeling again, is that Shane came in and he said this guy can take us to the mountain, and I can fix what has to be fixed, the accuracy, the touch. And those are things he's got to get better at. That Sunday accuracy, and a little bit of touch. He still has a lot of Aroldis Chapman in him. I mean, there's times, particularly on that first level, he's got to be willing to give it to him with a little bit softer throw where you can catch and run and things like that. But again, I go back to my old Fred Schuback, and I will not ever get away from this. If you want to build a great team, you get people who put the ball in the end zone.
There's no doubt.
And guys who knock the quarterback down. When the Colts had Reggie and they had Harrison and they of course Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer, and Edgerrin, and then on defense you had Freeney and Mathis. So that is that formula in a microcosm to the limit, and you had championship football. I mean, we went here from 98 to 18, fourth best record in pro football. Fourth best, and really a lot of that emanated with Bill's and maybe he looked out. Harrison was already here, and he did get rid of Marshall, but he came right back with Edgerrin. But again, great skill players and pass rushers. And you talk about this regime has missed on 2 second-round corners.
Yeah,
they've missed on a ton of second-round rushers. So it's constantly money chasing money. I mean, and hopefully, maybe Kwity Paye comes around this year. I mean, it's time.
Do you see any? I was going to ask Kwity Paye and Dio Dembe. Do you see these guys either one making a significant stance this year?
Yeah, we'll see. I think we'll see.
I feel the same way.
I think we'll see.
Yeah.
If we got time, I can really explain what I see in that defensive line.
You got a minute here? Go ahead. It's okay. He said break, but he normally does that to me because he knows that I go way, way over.
I'm used to my radio station back in St. Louis. That was like, you got 10 seconds.
He says that to me because he knows I go long all the time.
Here's what
really quick about the defense.
We talked about the defense, and I think the key to this defense, whether or not we're a competitor or not, it's going to be, can those corners hold up, and can we generate outside rush? And that means players, and it means Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley has, if you don't have organically or you don't have the talent, you got to generate it. You got to bring some pressure. Here's what I see Paye. Paye has a lot of ability. He's a run player. I think he thinks too much. I listened to an interview the other day, and he gave about 27 concepts, and I'm going like, no. Think like Willie Mays used to say, when they hit it, I catch it. When they throw it, I hit it. Okay, what Kwity? Quarterback is here.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah.
Get a spin. Do something. Don't just run into people. Dio has been one of our better rushers in the summertime, but it's against the Vitalis squad. It really is. The guy, to me, that has to be in the rush package, if he can stay healthy, is Lewis. I think my rush package would be on second down. It would be Paye on the left, Lewis on the right, and then Buckner and Buckner and Dio inside. And then you got to bring pressure. You can't sit there in an over defense 4-man rush for 17 Sundays. Can't do it.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. Man, that's. I look at it this way too. I mean, would you call this a reboot? What'd you say earlier? Rebuild?
I'm not. My thing is, because of the draft, because of Richardson, this is a reshaping. This is a total. That's why, in some ways, we're a box of chocolates. I don't think we're necessarily have no chance, because I think our division is manageable. Our first 8 games, we got 2 playoff teams. That's it, and 2 playoff teams about 9 and 8.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can manage it week after week after week, but it's a reshaping from the standpoint is bringing Richardson in there. This is like no other offense we've ever seen since the Mayflower came here. I mean, this is a half NCAA.
And that's exactly how it looked when you watched him on TV.
Yeah.
You said, you know what, it was eye popping.
And you have to adapt to it. This is what I tell the older coaches that say it was a bad pick. I always say it's not a bad pick. You don't see where the game is going.
Yeah.
I watch 12-year-old football because of my grandson, and they're all in the spread, and the best athlete now in town plays quarterback.
Yeah.
It used to be the best passer plays quarterback. Now the best athlete in the city plays quarterback.
Right.
So, that's what you got. That's what we're looking at down the road.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You got a dinner to get to, don't you?
I do, and I've got my grandson tonight, and I've got to get him to the Noblesville game. I got all kind of duties. I have all kind of duties. I didn't plan on this Friday night.
Why don't you come back?
And Miss Sherry's killing me.
Why don't you come back and bring Sherry over here tonight or tomorrow? Why don't you?
I may very well do that.
So we can set you up in 39 right there.
Okay.
I won't even crap it up. Or
I may take you up on that. And now that I know where to park, I'll put her on the back of that damn Gull Wing, and we'll be over here.
So if you ever see somebody on a motorcycle that looks a lot like Rick Venturi here around Pendleton, you'll know that it's Rick Venturi here around Pendleton right here. We got to figure something out here to get you on every Monday. I mean, we just do. We got to figure it out. James, I'm going to leave this up to you. We got to figure this out, how to get Rick on every Monday. I just kind of sit back and soak it up. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, John, you're the best, and I enjoy it, and I wish they could work something out. We really had something going.
Oh, my goodness.
Every place I go, people ask me about, when are you going to be on with JMV on Monday night? I get that all the time.
Well, people wait for this right here, too. I mean, just the all-encompassing, telling us everything about the start of the season, especially here. I mean, we do it start of the season, end of the season right now, and then obviously with the draft. And
well, what I've tried to do today, and I did it on my podcast with Matt Wednesday, a year ago, I kind of bought into the Kool-Aid too, and I should know better.
Yeah.
I went by practices. We didn't really play them at all in the preseason. We didn't have scrimmages, and I should know better. And I kind of bought into that. This year, I'm trying to give the fans a real coach's view, the kind of discussions I would have with Bill Belichick or Nick Saban that were more, no sugarcoating, really critical analysis. These are the 6 things we're not very good at, and we better get better.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right,
have
John.
a great weekend.
Have a weekend.
Everybody, Rick Venturi, a round of applause for Rick. Man, Rick is awesome right there. Quick break. We'll come back. Mike Wells is going to join us. Don Fischer still to come. Day-night doubleheader over in Cincinnati. Cubs take game 1, 6-2 over the Reds earlier this afternoon. Cody Bellinger drives in 3 in that victory for the Cubs. Later on tonight, 6:40, game number 2 of that matchup. Quick break. We'll come back. Brent Holverson rejoins us, too, and Mike Wells will be here as well. There's Tony Renz, Harrah's Hoosier Park, up there too. Hey, Tony, you know the Rick's up there all the time. You remember Rick? See Rick often? All right, we got a lot more coming up for you again. We're at Mystic Waters Campground. It's the start of a Labor Day weekend bender here, and we're starting with the ride with JMV. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Fan.
All right, full disclosure right here. Who out there has a business that wants to sponsor Rick Venturi being on here every Monday? That has to happen. Absolutely has to happen. I just sat back and let him break down everything. That was much needed right there, and away from a lot of the Jonathan Taylor chatter. Rick Venturi, if you missed any of it, the podcast is at 1075thefan.com. Mike Wells in a second from ESPN Radio. Don Fischer after 5. Of course, we're at Mystic Waters Campground. It is a Backyard Bourbon broadcast to start out what is going to be a fantastic Labor Day weekend bender. Our betting analyst, Brent Holverson, rejoins us right now. We're off to a great start, buddy.
What a
I got
way
to
to
put my
start.
hat on, too. I don't have my hat on.
We'll have to get you another one.
Oh, I got it out in the truck,
perfect.
so I'm
Look
good
at
to
you.
go. Yeah,
All
I
ready
brought
to
it.
rock. I love it.
I brought it. All right, and we got guests and everything, too.
We do have guests, and we have a special guest here. And without further ado, Mike Romack, please come talk with us a little about. We got a Pendleton Fall Fest coming up in the lovely area of Pendleton, Indiana.
Thank you so much. I
love
appreciate
Pendleton. You hear what Rick said about Pendleton, too? Picture postcard.
Oh, yeah.
Is what he said.
It's fantastic around here. And I really appreciate the time. I wanted to announce that PBA, the Pendleton Business Association, is sponsoring the Fall Festival next weekend at 10 to 6 on Friday and 10 to 5 on Saturday. So we've got crafts, we've got food trucks, we've got crochet is a big thing this year, as you may know already. But we've got all kinds of activities taking place downtown Pendleton. In addition to that, there's the Heritage Fair at the park. Yep. There's Park Fest on Friday or Thursday night before the Pendleton Fall Festival. So there's so many activities going on in Pendleton, Indiana, and I really appreciate you talking about it.
Do you think we got anybody over in Pendleton that would like to bring us a bunch of like pumpkin pies and pumpkin cream rolls?
I don't know.
What do you think? You think anybody over there can do that?
By
like
golly,
make something up and bring it over here for us? What do you think, Brent?
I think we could get
pumpkin
that happen,
pies
sure.
and pumpkin cream rolls
Absolutely.
this weekend?
By golly, you're asking it right now.
I'm just wondering,
so hope that happens.
Anybody over in Pendleton can bake us some stuff and then bring it over. I think that sounds pretty good.
And
Absolutely.
you got a big. There's a big weekend here next weekend at Mystic Waters, and so it's a huge weekend for Pendleton, Indiana.
Well,
and I appreciate your letting me announce it.
Love that, and I love the fact that you guys are working so well together, too. I mean, what Brent has done here to transform this place has been spectacular, has it not?
Oh, yeah. It's been. I'm wanting to come out here next weekend, but I'm busy with the Fall Festival. I want to come out here next weekend.
We got to get you out here this weekend. This weekend.
I'll tell you what. We were part of the Fall Festival last year. We will.
I'll have you feeling good about 5 o'clock here. I promise. Really good.
That's right. I bet that.
There is a lot of great, just like you said. There's so much going on down Main Street right there. Outstanding. You know, out here we've got RC boat races out here, John, next weekend.
What?
So out of here in the big body right here, we're going to have. There's 300 people coming out. They're 2.5 foot RC boats. They do 180 miles an hour. There's going to be it'll be an awesome spectator sport to watch. So
That's
and then you
awesome.
wrap it up with a couple good
RC boat
racing.
This remote control for those of you that don't know.
It is
by the way.
absolutely, but it's not what you'd buy your child, right? I mean, the one I bought my kids did like 10. These do 100.
We shot ours with a BB gun out there that sunk.
I don't think any of that's going on, but if you're looking for a good time, Pendleton's going to be a great place to be. Like say, Fall Festival going on, all kinds of stuff around here, and then come out and enjoy some RC boat races, and stay out here at the wonderful Mystic Waters Campground.
Thank you for allowing me to make that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for allowing us to ask if somebody can bring over some pumpkin pies and pumpkin cream rolls this weekend here.
And I enjoyed this Rick Venturi. I listen to him all the time, and that's fantastic. I hope somebody can sponsor him for you.
We all need that because he had like a stack of papers this high over here. I mean, real notes. Hey, thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
You got that.
Mike, thank you.
Brent's going to rejoin us. Mike, thank you very much. Brent's going to rejoin us in a second on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Yeah, he's somewhere near Brownsburg just wishing he was here right now. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio joins us. Hello, Mike.
Well, first of all, you said campgrounds. My ass does not do anything camping.
Dude, I'm in cabin 39 with a television and AC, brother. Come on.
Okay, I'm about to say, I was going to wonder about you because you were truly out there camping. I was wondering how you thinking, man. And first of all, what's the pumpkin pie mean? Y'all, you want some pumpkin pie?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some out here. Pumpkin pie and pumpkin cream rolls. Because I guess officially we're into September, and that kind of does usher in the fall season to a degree, even though it's still late summer. So I'm trying to bring some sweets out here. Yes. Are you a big pumpkin pie guy?
Hell no, I don't eat pumpkin pie, man. I eat sweet potato
What's
pie.
wrong with you, dude? What's happening?
Listen, this is where I need Hagen at. Hagen would be Team Wells on this one. He messes with sweet potato pie, too, because, Hagen's an albino brother, too.
No. But put some whipped cream on that stuff and go to work on it, man. It's like the pumpkin cream roll. A lot of icing in there. Come on. Come on, man.
No. Hey, so let me ask you this: what's a condensed version of what Venturi thinks of the Colts this season?
Well, I think you just heard it. About an hour, he's not very high on it, and with good reason, right, Mike? You've covered this team for a long period of time, and when they've had talent, when they don't. And, I've said this before. Somebody had asked me, going back to 2012, Andrew Luck's rookie season, which team has more talent, this one or that one. I would take that one, with Reggie Wayne, with T.Y. Hilton, with Anthony Costanzo. And still, even though they didn't put up big numbers, I still think you had Freeney, right? You still had Mathis coming off the edge. I would take that all day long.
Oh yeah, listen. Let me ask you a question. You had, like you said, Anthony Costanzo, left tackle. Let me ask you this question: who on this roster do you say, okay, there is a security? There's security for Anthony Richardson, whether it's even on the defensive side of the ball or offensive side of the ball. You can't say Shaq Leonard because who knows, where he is at mentally. After, dealing with the injuries in the past and everything, he was in a concussion protocol. There's just way too many question marks / flaws on this roster to say this roster, that Anthony Richardson is in a better position for success over Andrew Luck from 2012.
Yeah, the guy that can do that is going to be sitting at home or something. That's in the first 4 weeks of the season.
No, oh man! Oh, he'll be in his sweatpants and hoodie. That's what he'll be, man.
And looking mad, looking all mad.
I am tired of looking at Jonathan Taylor in his sweatsuit and hoodie, man. He should just keep his behind at home and stop faking like he's out there supporting his teammates, because we know that's not the case.
Yeah, well, that's all that is a blueprint. That's a script by his representation to look like that, to look unhappy, and yeah, this whole thing is just a really stupid mess to me. You agree?
It's a clown show. That's what it is. It is a complete, utter clown show. And I'm not even going to put this. Yes, Jonathan Taylor and his reps are at fault here too, but I think the Colts are at fault too. And I'm not saying the entire organization, just the guy that owns the team. He had a fuel to the fire early on, and now the fire is completely out of control. He wasn't moved. Chris Ballard's up there having to address question after question about Jonathan Taylor on Wednesday, knowing that this relationship is they are essentially teetering on divorce. One person sleeping in the bed and the other sleeping on the couch.
It's Mike Wells of ESPN Radio. I know you've been active on ESPN Radio. Were you on yesterday?
No, I was.
2 days ago.
Wednesday night, but I was on 2 days ago, man. Hey, I gotta ask, can you tell me have you ever did a 5-hour show?
Man, I have. I have. Yes.
Man,
I have.
I have a 5-hour show on Monday night, 7 p.m. to midnight. Woo, boy. I'm gonna stay silent all day so my chops can be well rested for the 5-hour show.
And that's one where you'll want to get a little bit loose too, right? Because you're trying to get listeners in a moment when, you're really going to have to work to get listeners, so you'll probably get a little bit loose. But you know what? I think I'm doing the JMV takeover for the first time ever on location here tomorrow night at Mystic Waters Campground in Pendleton. And I look at the challenge more than anything else. So, yeah, you looked at that challenge, and that's what really makes it, I think, more than anything else does.
Well, first of all, hey, are you going to be sitting in your Speedos doing the show tomorrow night?
Oh, I've got my swimming trunks that have anchors, yacht rock anchors all over it. I'm going to tell you what, cabin 39 is going to be rocking, so don't bother knocking. You know what I mean, Mike?
Man, hey, you're going to have some beverages. You're going to be running your mouth. Hopefully you'll have some people coming by.
The mouth will be running. The beverages will be flowing. It is going to be beautiful. I'm going to tell you what, because this is a Heaven Hill Distillery outlet here. It's like, remember when you ever watched the Beverly Hillbillies when Uncle Jed, first shot? For some reason, he had the worst shot ever trying to hit something to eat. And he, up from the ground come the bubbling crude. That's exactly what you have with Heaven Hill Distillery bourbon here. Up from the ground come the bubbling crude. It is going to be a never-ending flow this weekend. So it is going to be one of the better, most epic times on a Labor Day weekend we've ever seen. So I'm thinking we need an appearance by you. What do you think?
I'm going to have to say nah, because, listen, you're camping. That means you ain't going to have a shower. Your ass is probably going to be funky.
No. I'm right next to the bathroom and the shower. I've got AC and a TV. Come on, man.
Hey, so what are you going to do all day tomorrow? So I assume you're staying the night down there tonight, right? Up there tonight?
I think Laney plays over at, it's funny, too, right? Because Finch Creek's right down the road. I mean, literally 10 minutes away. And normally she plays up there, so this weekend they play at the Pack. So that's over in Westfield. So I'm going to swing over there and see what she's doing to make me happy or unhappy. And then I'm going to come back up here and rock it. Hey, by the way, have you heard the news? Have you heard the news that there is going to be an assistant coach for these group of 8th grade Center Grove girls in the fall, and his name just might be me? How about that?
Are you serious?
What do you think we're going to be running?
You're going to be you finally got those people at Center Grove to let you through the door.
I think my daughter's going to quit, but yeah. Laney may end up quitting, but yes. And I've said this. I said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out there and we're going to play as fast as possible and let the chips fall. I said, I'm all for getting into this, stylistic offense and running sets. And then I'm going to say running sets my ass. I mean, we're going to get some turnovers. We're going to push the ball. We're going to score as easy as we can. And then we're going to defend, make sure we don't give up layups. I mean, really, it's simplex with these girls. It should be, shouldn't it? Why would nobody follow that?
Hey, so is Laney at the middle school across the street from Center Grove High School, or the one that is off of Fairview Road or whatever?
No. Yeah, it's the one right across from CG. So right across from CG. Yeah, I'm going to be there. I can't see. It's weird because I can't be at all because I know I'm going to have some Colts games because they play at every 1 o'clock imaginable coming up this fall, and I know that's probably going to screw some things up. But I'm going to be there enough, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to play fast. We're going to play fast, or at least I'm going to tell them to play fast. There's no doubt about it. So I'd had enough. I said, listen, I've got to have my voice heard, and here it is. So I'll bench my daughter, and then we're going to do. We're going to play fast. What we're going to do.
Is that the middle school with Kemper and Kennedy and Grace?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've already been given the seal of approval from Mike Kemper. He feels pretty good about it.
Holy cow! I'm going. Hey, keep me posted.
He just doesn't know I'm going to make his daughter run like hell, too. I don't know if he knows that yet.
Oh, man, my. Hey, I got to tell you, and I know today was a condensed version, and I got to get running, but next Friday, I can't wait for next Friday's show because that's season prediction time. Where are you going to be on site at?
I'm at Twin Peaks in Greenwood, I think, next Friday. Bud Light Blue Friday. You going to be there with me?
Things are going to be peeking out next Friday at Twin Peaks.
I'm going to dangle the Twin Peaks carrot for you right there. What do you think?
You know what? I'm coming down just to get the wings. Hey, can we get our favorite 5 foot? Let's get our favorite 5'1" Ginger to be there too.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Red will join us. Red's been in the Southwest. He's been hanging out at the Unser compound down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So Red will be out there with us.
Yeah, so I unfortunately I do got to get running, but next Friday is going to be the show of the year for us, brother.
Hey, tell my girl I miss her.
All right, I will do, brother. Tell Laney I said hello. I'll see you next Friday.
You got it. It's Mike Wells of ESPN Radio on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That's true. Like next Thursday, our Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, Joe's Grill in Castleton. Bud Light Blue Friday with tickets for the Colts home opener against Jacksonville. That is going to be at Twin Peaks in Greenwood. That is coming up next Friday. So Thursday and Friday next week. Mystic Waters Campground. We're in Pendleton today looking for you. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, top of the hour. And a great announcement from our betting analyst, Brent Holverson, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour as well. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Luxair is Fan.
Mystic Waters Campground, thank you so much for joining us as we embark upon what is going to be a Labor Day weekend bender. Just the beginning stages of the festivities. Brent Holverson, our betting analyst, rejoins us here. So Richard from Ford's Garage brought me dip. Right, the buffalo chicken dip.
You have a special bag of goods that are stored in the refrigerator inside for you. So right afterwards, you've got some goods there for you.
So that's a good reason why Cabin 39 is really close to the bathroom.
That's right. Hey, this is a like a home game, right? This is like one of those neutral sites for you, right? Neutral
Cabin 39 is legit right there, man.
Solid?
Let me tell you.
You're good. You're right there by the restrooms. You got the beach right in front of you, and look at that beautiful water right there, John.
That's Mystic Waters Campground with Brent Holverson too, and we want to get something serious because coming up at 6, Joe's Grill is going to open up their food truck out here, and we want to send some love to our friend Ryan Nally.
Absolutely. Ryan Nally, one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, John, and as you know, he had a big surgery that happened about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we're fortunate he is out of the hospital now. He's in ICU for a while, and man, there's not a better guy that you'll find than Ryan Nally, the heart of gold. And I'm honored to call him a friend. I know you are as well, John. And he brought us Joe's Grill, a traveling place. So this is an honor to have him out here. And he's going to be, he's got a little bit of road recovery to come. Ryan, if you're listening out there, my man, I love you, bro.
Brother.
We love you. We love you. We love you. We're going to be at Joe's Grill Castleton to start off our Lars St. Locke. Next Thursday. I also want to give a big shout out to Sherry Nally, who is hands down one of the greatest ladies out there. And she is really taking care of our good buddy, making sure he gets back up to the road to recovery here real soon, right? And then also to Maxwell and Riley, the Nally boys. They're taking care of old dad out there. And Ryan, can't wait to see you, man. We love you, brother. Mean the world to me, man.
And a shout out too to people that want to give me shots before 5 o'clock.
Well, you know what, John? Again, you know where to drive, right? We're here. This is a safe place and a safe space. So,
all right, quick break. We'll come back, by the way, and our friend Todd, who's our executive producer, James, jump on here really quick. Todd didn't like the fact that we were so shadowed right here, but unless we had some lights on the situation, there's nothing we can do about it. Is Todd okay with that?
As far as I know. I haven't heard from him since he initially texted me.
Todd's going to be hardcore 24/7, 365, and I dig that a great deal. There's a shadow version of me right here, but what you see behind us is the lake of Mystic Waters Campground right here. Brent rejoins us coming up in a minute. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. 3:30 tomorrow. Ohio State and IU down in Bloomington, 2:30. Your coverage begins on 93 WIBC. Purdue, Fresno State begins at noon. That and more with Don Fischer coming up on the other side. Hey, Kim, I think that thing went a little bit foobar right there as well. Quick break, we'll come back. And more with Brent, our betting analyst, in the 5 o'clock hour. Mystic Waters Campground. It is a Backyard Bourbon broadcast on a Friday, Labor Day weekend, a Labor Day weekend bender with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Let me tell you how much fun we're having right here. I know that some of you are going to go out to high school football games tonight. But I would join us because DJ Skids, hey Skids, how long are you going to play? Till like midnight? After? We'll get you on. Now, are you, where are you staying here? You got a cabin? You know?
Yeah, he's got a cabin. He's got one.
Good. Oh, Skids is going to start playing here. Skids, of course, are the mini mixes with the JMV takeover. Not only is he going to play tonight for all of us, but he's also going to do some stuff for the JMV takeover tomorrow night, brother. I appreciate you. That's DJ Skids right here. Don Fischer is going to join us, the voice of the Hoosiers. They start their season coming up tomorrow, 3:30. You can hear that downstairs beginning at 2:30. Downstairs, I mean, by WIBC 93.1. That's tomorrow at 2:30 in the afternoon. Don Fischer at about 15 after the hour. But back with us, Brent Holverson, our betting analyst. You mentioned your thoughts. You like the 30. You would take IU, and obviously with the 30, game number 1, why would you? What would you do with the Boilermakers coming up tomorrow against Fresno State?
You know, I mean, that's going to be an interesting game, too. I think Purdue's got a good squad. You know, again, weeks 1 and 2, you got to kind of tread lightly, right? Tread lightly, see how things are going to go. I like the Indiana schools, though. I like the points. I like IU plus 30. I think that's going to be a little too much. You got to take 30
in week number 1, don't you?
I think you have to. I mean, again, you're going to have a very hyped-up Bloomington, Indiana crowd out there, you know.
So, also, we have a special announcement to make here at Mystic Waters Campground for the JMV takeover tomorrow night and the Labor Day weekend bender we're doing right here, plus a Backyard Bourbon Broadcast with Heaven Hill Distillery, with New Belgium Brewing, Bell's Brewery, and Ford's Garage. Thanks, Richard, for all the food that he has brought. You have, Brent, a special announcement to make.
John, this actually is probably one of the greatest things I've had the pleasure to be able to announce. You know, in the history of me being in this industry, there's very few people that I respect that are just out in this industry doing what they do, and I'm honored to announce right now, because it's going to be official on Tuesday, September 5th.
It's not official right now?
It is official because this fine gentleman has he's finished his previous due diligence, if you will. And come Tuesday, he's going to be a part of the Heaven Hill, Indiana family. And I am absolutely honored to announce that Mr. Jim Romack is going to be our new channel manager.
For the
on-premise for Heaven Hill brands. And
my brother.
There is nothing greater than this gentleman right here. Jim and Mike Romack, both of the brothers, are amazing. You know this. I know this. But Jim, welcome to the family, man. I can't wait to get out in the field with you, brother.
I can't thank you enough.
Look at that. You know, I went to the wedding party at Broad Ripple Tavern last Saturday,
brother. We
My God, they have a lot of friends.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
It's unreal.
We have a lot of drunk friends.
And you know what? I feel very comfortable in saying this. I love his wife. I'm in
Sarah's
love with
awesome.
his wife.
Sarah is outstanding. I mean,
in a good way, Romy.
Hey, I got no problem with that, brother. Trust me.
Absolutely.
You know, Brent approached me about this, and, you know, I couldn't be happier to work for a man. I tell you what, I've worked for this man twice now.
Really?
In 2011, I was sitting in the back of a truck working a 25-hour shift with Budweiser, and he took me over to Southern Wine and Spirits, and I worked for him there. So all this years later. And
Look at that, you stud.
All these years later, this is the second time, but this is joining a family that is going to be amazing, a company that is amazing.
You believe how this company has grown in the last, 5-6 years in particular?
It's completely unreal.
Heaven Hill Distillery, of course, is what
It's
I'm
completely
talking about.
unreal, and to be honest with you, it is just a step in my career that I cannot believe that is happening, and it's truly amazing to me. I'm going to do great things for him because this man believes in me, and I believe in this company, and I believe in Brent Holverson because they're working for a living legend. Man, let me tell you.
You are a living legend. Look at that.
Working for this man is honestly going to be one of the best steps in my career. Be my last job I ever have, to be quite honest with you, JMV.
We're absolutely honored to have him, and I cannot tell you, I mean, Heaven Hill, and you're right, Jim. I mean, Heaven Hill is the greatest company I've ever worked for, and I cannot wait for you to really embrace yourself and what's getting ready to happen. But, my man, it's going to be fun, bro. Like, you and I together, dude.
It's gonna be epic.
Dynamic. Yes.
It is. It's gonna be amazing.
I love it.
Oh, I do too.
I love this combination. Did you know that for every JMV takeover every Saturday night, Romy and Sarah send me food? And only like a couple of times a homeless dude has stolen it.
Twice.
Only a couple times.
Only a couple of times has a homeless dude on the circle stolen it. But no, you're not going to find a better friend. And here's what I think is great is he knows everybody, and everybody knows him.
Yep.
Like, we're talking to people right now that go, oh, yeah, Jim Romack, Romy, yeah, I know exactly what we're talking about. I mean, he has such a layer in Central Indiana. It's amazing.
It speaks volumes to the character. And again, that's what this business is about, right? Like, we have great brands that we're going to represent. But when you have a good character like Mr. Romack here, and you're out and about and be able to spread the cheer, it just makes this industry so much fun. And we're honored. And Jim, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of fun, my friend. As you know that's what we do.
We're going to do good things.
There's
right. No question about it. But we're going to spread the love. We're going to have fun. We're going to make a lot of people happy. And I'll be honest with you. This is a surreal moment for me sitting here between you guys.
Look at that.
I mean, dude, I got chills right here. It's like kid at Christmas stuff, you know?
I'm telling you, it is. It's just truly amazing. I'm absolutely blessed for the people in my life. JMV, I've known you for.
Yes, we have.
I've known you since your kid was knee high.
And I was working with Mark Patrick at some point. I think when we met, right?
When we first met, we met at Kip's Pub. It was the first,
that is so true.
First time we met.
Well, you know what? And I once did a show at Fox and Hound on the north side there. Yeah. And I damn straight bet you were running that thing. Maybe?
Probably was.
It probably was back in
2001 to 04, 05. Yeah,
I think Mark was. See, Mark didn't drink. Which is, you know, when you do sports talk radio, you kind of gotta give a great example. His son is in the business now too, as you know, Drew Storen, and he clearly drinks. It was great. One time, Mark said, if you know Mark Patrick, you know exactly how this sounded. He came up to me and he goes, yeah, thanks a lot for getting my son into whiskey.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're welcome. But no, seriously, that's where we first met, I think, when I was a part of MPOS back.
Courtesy of John McDonald and John McCurdy.
John McDonald, man. Two Mac legends right there.
Yes, sir.
McDonald and McCurdy right there. So well done. All right, you start coming up next week?
Yep. Tuesday's the official day, so
Tuesday.
We'll have a lot more Romy too. We're gonna have Romy on air with us. We're gonna be doing fun stuff. I mean,
I took one day off work.
Yeah, and that's today, right? That is today. That's right.
Today.
And he's out here all weekend with us, so we're gonna be celebrating.
All right, and we have our first Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila shots coming up on Thursday.
Coming up on Thursday, kick off the NFL season.
Joe's Grill in
Castleton. You're absolutely right. And we're going to have Mr. Ryan Miller with us, join us there. And
Ryan Miller was at their wedding party. I saw him last Saturday. Yep.
And then, again, and a big shout out to Ryan Nally again. He's not going to be able to be with us there, but he's always with us in spirit. And
he'll whip that ass. You know he will.
He absolutely will.
You know he will.
He absolutely will.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Well, that's awesome, guys. I appreciate everything you guys do.
John,
and being involved with the station, there's no doubt about that.
It just got a lot better too, my friend.
It did.
It did. Yep.
So I mean, you got to get the brain working here to find out. I mean, look, we're doing the Labor Day weekend bender here. The first JMV takeover out here. We've done all this other stuff, so it's going to be up to you, Romy, to come up with something even more impressive and fresh.
I don't really want to know if you want to tap into this brain. Trust me. Trust me.
About that.
It might be a dangerous situation.
I've heard about the brain tapping before.
You might regret saying that, my friend.
Oh man,
it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great ride, my friend.
And I will say this: come on out. We're out here all weekend, right?
All weekend.
Romy's out here. JMV's out here.
Cabin 39 is going to be rocking.
Cabin 39 is going to be rocking.
Don't bother knocking.
That's right. That's right. If you see it rocking, don't bother knocking.
Just come on in.
Come on out. DJ Skid's starting at 7. He's going to spin some tunes for us for the evening. And then tomorrow we're going to have a big day of beautiful weather.
And then Skid's going to turn it over to me for a minute, and then you guys are going to see how much I really suck when I try to remix stuff. I suck so bad at that. I beat mix so bad.
That's a good challenge.
It's like I think I have a really good rhythm, and then I do that, and I go, I got no rhythm whatsoever.
Wait a minute. You mean you don't have the hanging and banging?
Oh man, it's so weak. It is so weak.
That's my favorite. When you come in hanging and banging.
Hanging and banging.
Oh,
and I ripped that off from like a WWF thing back in the day.
It's amazing.
It's like Hulk Hogan. I've been hanging and banging in the gym all week, man. That's why I ripped that off. I'm so bad. God dang. So, but no, Skids is going to start at 7.
Skids is coming at 7.
And we're going to be here all weekend long here
Absolutely.
at Mystic Waters Campground. Now, tell folks if they want to come out and join us, how they can do that, how they can set up maybe a camp here as well, because I know the cabins are sold out for the weekend, right? But there are other ways that you can stay here with us over the weekend.
Yep, cabins are sold out for the weekend, but we have quite a few, not quite a few. We've got about probably 15 RV sites available.
Yeah.
There's plenty of tent camping. They're all beautiful sites. They've got fire rings, 38 acres of playground to come on out with, right? So call up to Mystic Waters, 765-221-1078, or you can email info@mysticwaterscampground.com. And we have one of the most amazing staff out here.
Yeah.
They will make sure we get a spot for you, take care of you, and you're going to have a great time. I promise you that.
And remember, cabin 39, don't bother knocking. Come on in.
I'm kind of starting to be a little bit. I'm excited about cabin 39.
No, I'm really excited too because I mean, put me right next to the bathroom.
Hey,
so the
no
3 or 4
barred.
times I got to get up every single night, that's going to be an easy walk.
This
right
is
there.
a neutral site to the home game, so you're all good, my man.
Because I thought, maybe I could just go by that tree right there, but I thought, you know what? 3 more steps and I'm at the bathroom.
You're in the bathroom.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
good. You're absolutely good, man.
All right,
looking forward to
Thanks,
it.
Thanks, guys. Romy,
Love
appreciate you.
Congrats,
Welcome
Romy.
into Heaven Hill Distillery.
Love it,
Yes,
Brent
sir.
Holverson
Love
rejoins us. Ryan Stoltz going to join us coming up here from Bell's Brewery and New Belgium Brewing. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is in deep-rooted preparation for the start of the football season tomorrow. 3:30 in Bloomington. That's the kick. 2:30 your coverage. 93 WIBC. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, joins us. Hello, Don. How you doing, buddy? Don, I'm sorry. I did not pick you up right there. Your phone was a little... Are you ready? Are you good? I tell you what, reset, if you wouldn't mind, James. I can't hear Don up here right now. Make sure that everything's good. Cam, everything good on our end? Right here? Yeah, I think it may have been Don's phone right there that had the major malfunction. So let's make sure that Don's phone is good to go, because I want to hear about IU Ohio State tomorrow. His thoughts on quarterback, his thoughts on the team in general. Hey, listen, I know that it's a tough task. I know what everybody's saying about IU, but it is the start of a season. It is a clean slate, fresh page right here. We'll talk to Don about that. Again, Purdue and Fresno State tomorrow. If you missed our Boilermaker conversation yesterday, Tom Dienhart, that podcast is at 1075thefan.com. We talked about Fresno State and Jeff Tedford, the head coach. Talked about that matchup and the level of importance, but really, when you think about it, the level of importance for Purdue to get that win tomorrow and start stacking those wins considering their schedule. IU coming up next week, Indiana State. Then they have Akron after that. Those are games you absolutely have to get. Tomorrow is going to be incredibly difficult. But Don rejoins us now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Don, you good to go?
Can you hear me,
Don,
John?
I do hear you there, buddy. You okay?
I'm fine. I'm actually down here at the foul course in Bloomington. We're just finishing up a golf outing here, and that's the reason that we're having a little problem every now and then.
How is Ned doing? Is Ned there with you?
Oh, yeah, Ned is here today. I'll see him in a few minutes. We're going in right now, headed to the clubhouse. So I'll tell him that you said hey.
Can you tell Ned Fowl that what he has done with that course, and I loved it before, Don. I loved it before. I loved the driving range. There's nothing better than going out and getting hammered in Bloomington and going out and driving balls and trying to hit the guy that was in that little cart trying to pick up all the balls hit out there. Nothing better than that back in my days in Bloomington. But tell Ned, great job with the course and the way that looks. That's outstanding.
Yeah, you're right. It's an absolutely beautiful golf course. It's also one of the hardest you're going to play. But that doesn't matter on a day like today. It was just beautiful out here. And we're playing in the Peroni's outing. I won't explain it to you. There's no reason to do that. At any rate, Joe Huff and I are riding down the golf course right now. We're going down the number one fairway backwards, and we're headed to the clubhouse as we speak, and Huffer says, hey.
Well, let me tell you what. The legend that is Joe Huff, have you seen what he owns out near Lake Monroe?
I know he's got 300 acres down here, and he's fighting them like hell.
Well, I mean, you know this. As much as we love Bloomington, there's always going to be a fight with local government in Monroe County. There's always going to be a fight. We know that to be true. But he's got some of the – I thought I had been everywhere around Lake Monroe. And then for Ron Conley, he had a camp out for the cross-country kids, his son Liam, and all the cross-country kids back at the end of July. He has a property off Lake Monroe that's absolutely amazing. I've never been on it before, and I had to stop and take pictures. It was great.
I know. I haven't. He hasn't invited me out there. He always invited me, but I haven't been able to go. I haven't been out there yet, but I know it's fantastic. And believe me, we had a great time today. We're not probably going to win this event, but if we don't, it's going to be a shock to most people.
Well, we all love Joe Huff. I mean, and Joe Huff, too, takes you back to just such great years of IU football. And, you know, it kind of all started when they went to the All-American Bowl, played Deion Sanders in Florida State, Sammy Smith in Florida State. But obviously, you know, all encompasses, you know, being competitive and beating Ohio State, being competitive and beating Michigan. I mean, if you're looking for glory years of IU football, Joe Huff was a part of it majorly.
Well, there's no question. Nobody was a better player for his size, and as a physical specimen, he was not the biggest guy in the world, but nobody was tougher on the football field than Huffer, and obviously he was special in that regard, and everybody that knows him and knew about him and watched him play knows what I'm talking about.
Well, you tell.
He says, but not a good golfer.
Well, you tell Huff if he needs anything from us, we're always there. But, man, I'm going to tell you what, his spot down at Lake Monroe is absolutely unmatched to anything else down there. It's really amazing. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, joins us. All right, if you were going to tell somebody about what you think this game, and I'm not talking about the game, you know, the entire game, but the start of the game, what's most important for IU at the start of that game at 3:30 in Bloomington tomorrow?
Well, in my opinion, you've got to be able to show that you can do a couple of things. Number one, you've got to keep them contained offensively, and you've got to be able to show them that you can do a little bit offensively yourself. And, you know, the biggest question mark in this football team tomorrow will be how Indiana plays from the quarterback position, because you got two redshirt freshmen that have been vying for that position, and we haven't been told yet who's going to start in that spot. But at the same time, you know, both of these kids are capable, and they've been going back and forth here in the last 4 weeks of practice and fall camp and those kinds of things. And honestly, nobody really knows what to expect in that area. And the biggest question mark will be which one of them will get out there first. And then the second question is, can they manage the game and keep Indiana from making a lot of mistakes out there offensively? Because I think the defense, John, is going to be better than many people think. Maybe not necessarily from a defensive backfield perspective, but I think the front seven is going to be pretty good. I really do think that they've upgraded the defensive line, and I think the linebackers are going to be solid and able to do what they're supposed to do. I think the big question mark on defense is in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, and you know what? And what makes that better is getting in the face of the quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback up front. And those are things, I think about that, Don, and I think about what they've done. Because I talked to Tom last week about that, what they've done with that offensive line. That's where it all starts right there. The defensive line getting after the quarterback, especially with Ohio State, with an inexperienced quarterback, getting after the Ohio State quarterback effectively, and then being able to protect. You know, whether you're talking about Sorsby or you're talking about Taven, being able to protect, and for Taven, if he's out there, you know, maybe some open running lanes where he can take off and show that, getting Jalen Lucas loose a little bit with a big play. I mean, that's what I look for tomorrow. If IU were able to hang just some big play capabilities that kind of hits Ohio State over the head in that first game of the season to where, you know, things start to be questioned. That's what I look for.
No, I agree. And my hope is that we're going to see Indiana revert back to how they played in the 2020 season when they were flying all over the field and trying to blitz, and you never knew where the the guys were coming from. I thought that season was absolutely special for Indiana. And if they could get back to that style of defensive play, I think it would be spectacular. But because here, the other thing is Ohio State's also got a guy that hasn't played much football, even though he's an older guy. I mean, they were battling, two players were battling out for that position at Ohio State, just like Indiana's had their two. So we don't know what to expect from them in that regard. Obviously, they've got an older player, or both those guys are older players compared to IU's two redshirt freshmen, but there's still a question mark in that area too. So we'll just have to wait and see. But let's face facts here. The Buckeyes are ranked number 3 and 4 in the country for a reason. They're one of the most talented programs year in and year out, and this will be a big challenge for this Indiana football team, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you know what? If you're going to have a big challenge, especially in terms of Ohio State, Don, why not in week number 1? Because, I mean, there's nothing figured out. There's really nothing known whatsoever. It's a fresh sheet. So if you're going to take on Ohio State, why not in week 1 in a day like tomorrow?
Exactly. So from that standpoint alone, I think people are going to be excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very hot, so people make sure you bring a lot of fluids with you because it's going to be 90 degrees for a long time tomorrow afternoon. But I just think it's going to be a terrific atmosphere, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be a part of.
Are you and Joe Huff done with your round?
We are done with our round.
Oh, man.
Right
now is when the fun.
What?
Well, you're with Joe Huff. Now is when the fun really begins. You know that, right?
I'm sorry I missed you. Ned Bow was yelling at me.
Now is when the fun really begins. After the round with Joe Huff.
Exactly.
Now, hey, are you going back to Greenwood or are you staying down there tonight?
No, I'm actually going to drive up to Cascade High School and watch my son's team play tonight. They're playing up there, so I'll be headed out there here in about an hour.
Oh, yeah. See, it's not a home game for Edgewood over in Ellisville, so you won't need your supersonic sunglasses with a red field. So
actually, It's not going to be there. It's going to be at Cascade, so we're driving over to Cascade after we get done with the sound here.
Well, hey, tell everybody down there, you know this to be true. If there is a place on earth that I love, it is certainly in and around Bloomington for growing up down there. And what Ned has done with the golf course, and obviously being a huge fan of Joe, even before our kids were friends over at Roncalli. Tell everybody down there hello. 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, you guys get it officially underway, right?
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it, John. Should be a lot of fun, and maybe we'll surprise some people. We'll see.
Hey, Edgewood kick a little ass tonight up at Cascade. We'll be looking at that score.
Let's hope so. They had a tough week last week against Washington, so we hope we can turn it around tonight.
I have a hard time rooting for Edgewood still because Lance Ringler and his hair. All right? I do.
I know I'm going to see him. Maybe I won't see him tonight, but I'm going to see him in the near future, and I'm going to say, Lance, you're going to have to do something about your haircut, buddy.
Do something about your hair. I always loved it because his wife was so good at everything athletically, better than he was. I love that. That's always been great.
I'll tell him that you said so.
You got it, buddy. I appreciate it, Don. We'll be listening tomorrow.
Thanks, John. See ya.
It's Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers. Man, that brings me back. We're talking about the Ned Fowl golf course down there is the IU golf course. And I played there all the time. When I first started in radio, I worked at B97 in Bloomington. And me and Mick Barron and John Mitchell, friends that I grew up with at Eastern Green, we lived at Night Ridge Manor, which was basically a stone's throw away from B97. But we played golf all the time at the old IU golf course and hit balls constantly at the old IU driving range. And, man, I have such great memories of that place. And I know Ned Fowl has done a great job in building that up and making that into something great down there. And then Don mentioned Joe Huff. Joe Huff was really a part defensively at linebacker, a part of really the great IU teams that we know from the 80s. And he spent a minute with the Colts as well coming out of college. But just a great dude, really a great dude. He and his son Liam Liam is a friend of my son, Blake, at Roncalli, and he owns a spot, and I say a spot, it's like 300 acres, a spot on Lake Monroe that I'd never been to, and I've been to everything down there, and it is absolutely incredible. But shout out to Don and to Joe and to everybody down there, Ned, at the IU Golf Course. IU and Ohio State coming up tomorrow. 2:30 your coverage begins. That's at 93 WIBC. And then 3:30 is that kick from Bloomington. Quick break, we'll come back. Brent Holverson rejoins us, our betting analyst. We'll go over both Fresno State and Purdue, IU and Ohio State coming up. And then we have Colts Happy Hour at the top of the hour. Mystic Waters Campground, our location is in Pendleton today, is the start of a Labor Day weekend bender and a Backyard Bourbon broadcast on this Friday and looking for you. Mystic Waters Campground, and if you got pumpkin pie and pumpkin cream rolls, if you're over in Pendleton, bring them. We'll give you a ton of love for it, I promise. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Kevin Bowen for Window Nation. Feel
We have the Harris Hoosier Park race of the day coming at you 50-50 in betting and dining. It's not too far away. Had to drop something off at the bank a little bit earlier, so I drove to Anderson. I did. That was me. You know, it's interesting, too, and a shout-out to Anthony Richardson. I actually spent a little bit of time with him earlier today. And it was interesting. It really was. Anthony Richardson, who's going to be the starting quarterback in Week 1. That's a week from Sunday with Jacksonville in town against the Colts. Mystic Waters Campground, what is up? We are doing what is called a Labor Day weekend bender here. I've called it that. Nobody else has really wanted to touch that, but I've called it that. So we're doing this show out here today. Colts Happy Hour until 7 o'clock. DJ Skids is going to play live here. And then tomorrow we're going to do a JMV takeover. Don Fischer joined us. We talked about IU, Ohio State tomorrow. 3:30 is the kick. 2:30 your coverage. 93 WIBC.
Look at that.
Hey, all right.
Look at that right there.
Yeah. Hey, get a picture of that. Send that to me. What the hippity hell's happening out there in the lake?
Oh, my gosh.
That is awesome right there.
What's going on?
Litzy.
Purdue
He's
and
fall in.
Fresno State. He's out there in the canoe.
What is going on?
Tomorrow at noon.
Jay.
All right, Brent Holverson, our betting analyst, is back with us, too. Ryan Stoltz of New Belgium Brewing and Bell's Brewery, who have merged together, joins us, too, fellas.
Well, I mean, I don't know how we follow that. Litzy's out there with a JMV suck sign.
Hey, J-Law, can you send me that? Oh, my God.
He's out in the kayak, which is exactly what that's for.
Yes, it is.
But what about that signage right there?
The JMV sucks out there.
The JMV sucks out in the middle of the water right there. That is Mystic.
Is it Mystic Waters?
That is Mystic Waters right there.
Mystic.
Litzy is making that happen. I love that.
Oh, man.
Love you, Litzy.
How are we doing here so far?
This is great, man. This is outstanding. And, hey, what a way to kick off Labor Day weekend, right? Great crowd out here. Everybody's coming out. They're here for you, John. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff coming on.
Yeah, still.
This is going till
never ending.
Going till 7, and DJ Skid's going to get up here and spin some tunes for us. I'm excited to hear about all that. And then tomorrow, the very first of its kind, a live JMV takeover on B105 right here from Mystic Waters.
Right here from Mystic Waters right there. So it's going to be fantastic. Ryan Stoltz of New Belgium Brewing and Bell's Brewery. You know what's funny? I hear people say all the time, my favorite beer is from Bell's. My favorite beer is from New Belgium. Now we got everybody merging together, don't we?
We do. It's so I'd always go to bars, and if they didn't have New Belgium, I'd drink a Two Hearted. And now I get to.
Now it's part of the family.
Sell them both, right?
Yeah,
so it's
great.
Two Hearted was one of those legendary beers that everybody had to have.
It's the number one beer in the Midwest, number one IPA beer in the Midwest.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, it's. And I'm sorry, it's from Michigan, John. I'm sorry. I know you
Michigan
do.
sucks.
I know you do, but this is my third year here, and I mean, I always think it's going to be. That's the party you have, and then you make it bigger. I mean, this is the party of.
This is.
It really. I don't know how you do it every time. This is.
I'm going to tell you what, if I could get pumpkin pie and pumpkin cream rolls delivered out here, that's going to be the key right here.
I tell you what, anybody out there listening, bring it out here because that is what we've been talking about for a while.
I'll give you a ton of love
I love
here,
that.
too.
That's great.
But no, Ryan, you're right. I mean, this thing has grown into something, and, you know, this is Brent's idea to bring us all out here and do this and combine sports and fun and music on Labor Day weekend.
And apparently water sports.
In water sports.
Apparently water.
With Litzy out there, too, in his canoe. So, yeah. And then somebody brought me the vape here, too. So, yeah, we're all good, man. This is
then you're drinking Fat Tire.
I am.
The new Fat Tire.
Now, tell me why this is new.
So, Fat Tire is our flagship. Mm-hmm. It was an amber ale. Amber ales just have not been doing great lately. So,
really, why is that?
Just taste profile. People have just kind of gravitated toward more fruit-forward beers, more drinkable. I love Fat Tire. I'd have one or two, you know, and then you can only have one or two after that. So we made a new beer, new can, new everything, a little more drinkable, more sessionable. So people out there, if you've not tried the new Fat Tire, please try it. It's delicious. I love it.
What's the difference in it?
Again, a little bit lighter, a little bit less caramel, a little bit less malt in it, just a little more just drinkable. Crushable, as a lot of people say in the industry, crushable I think is the word. Brent, you tried one too?
It's really good, man. I was blown away. And a great story I don't think I had a chance to tell you. So when I lived in Colorado after college, I would always bring back Fat Tire. I'd load my car up, bring back 12 cases, whatever I could fit in. And when you would fly, you could only bring 2 cases, and I'd bring 2 cases every time. And Fat Tire's always been a big near and dear to my heart thing. But those are great, man.
They're so good.
They are good.
Yeah.
They are good.
So people have not tried Fat Tire in a while, so please, try this new one. It's delicious, and it's a new package, white can. It's a beautiful can, beautiful label. Pops on the shelf. Go out there and try it in your store.
But like you say, it's got that light but yet flavor. It's very flavorful.
Makes you want to have another.
It does. I had a couple. I actually snuck those in between my larcenies over here. So
and I had a couple larcenies too. So
see, it all works out good, right? Absolutely.
You do, so.
Absolutely.
Right.
Ryan Stoltz, New Belgium Brewery and Bell's Brewery. What do you guys call them that? Is it still just New Belgium? How's that work?
It's New Belgium and Bell's. We're doing two separate breweries, under one umbrella, but selling both and just one team, one dream. And
what else you got over there?
We have Oberon, which is the summer beer. Everyone loves Oberon.
A lot of claps for that.
Big announcement, though. We have an Oberon winter beer coming out called Oberon Eclipse. People have been asking for Oberon year-round for years. We didn't want to do the exact same beer and leave it out all year round, so we're doing a winter-style Oberon, a little bit higher alcohol, a little darker beer called Oberon Eclipse, a purple can, just going to be beautiful. It's a delicious beer. I've tried it. Just wait. It's going to be out in October on the shelves, so try that, and then we'll go back to Oberon coming back in March. So Oberon year-round. Got, of course, Voodoo Ranger over there, which is just that little skeleton guy just sells and sells and sells.
Just tears it up.
Yep. And then we have Hazy Hearted, which is a brand new beer from Bell's. Used to be called Official. Now it's Hazy Hearted, so it's in the Hearted family. A hazy IPA. Doing very well.
And he brings some of the best point of sale hats, shirts.
Well, that's where everyone's our swag is.
The swag's out here is outstanding. So I mean, you're going to be out here. You're going to have a chance to get some of them. It's really wonderful.
So,
it's awesome stuff.
I've got some other shirts over here too as well. We've got the charity challenge for Teachers Treasures with JMV.
Nice.
That's on the back. That's on the front. If you guys want any shirts over here, we have that as well. And a shout out again to the charity challenge, Breeders' Crown, Teachers' Treasures with me. Been a great time. But no, what a great way to start this weekend.
Oh, it's
really is.
Could ask for better weather. This is beautiful. And my wife being in the school system, a speech therapist in the school system, I love Teachers' Treasures. So thank you so much.
Oh yeah,
for doing that.
Well, I mean, always when it comes to educators, we're always going to be with them.
Yeah.
So even if I'm like the dumbest dude around, which is
that's not the case, John.
That is not the case. Not arguably right there, but dumbest dude around. We love our educators too. Hey, Litz, man, that was a great picture right there.
I drink my Voodoo Ranger fruit forward, my Fat Tire sticker.
All right, hey, where can people get your stuff?
Oh, you can get it any liquor store, any big supermarket, anywhere around. We're around, just having a.
Now you are going to stay with us for a while, right? Here tonight. I know you got to get on the road. I got to
get on the road. I got to get down to Angola.
My God, you get as close to Michigan as possible.
I do, but I'm gonna stick around for a while. I mean, no one to go tonight, so we'll have a good time.
So Ryan Stoltz, Brent, right there, New Belgium Brewing, Bell's
Thank
Brewery.
you guys so much for having me.
Man, I love you being a part of our Backyard Bourbon broadcast too.
I love it. Look forward to it every time.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming out and being a part of it. For sure.
Brent, I want you to stick around. Final time, I want some of your thoughts on the games tomorrow as well. So our betting analyst,
you doing IU?
I like IU plus the points. I do. I like those 30 points.
I hope you like 30. Holy
crap.
30.
30
on
game number 1.
Game 1 at home with a big rowdy crowd.
I mean, really, all you have to do is score once, right? You feel good about that?
Yeah.
Maybe?
They got to hold the Buckeyes to under 38 at that point.
But nice. Would be nice.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate
Ryan Stoltz, New Belgium and Bell's Brewery. Brent Holverson rejoins Mystic Waters Campground, you guys. Thank you very much. Litzy, who got himself out in a canoe in the middle of the lake with a JMV Sucks picture. We'll see to that coming up in a minute. And our weekend look at these college football games. Brent Holverson on the other side. And our Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, too. 50-50 betting and dining from Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. That is next. 93.5 and 107. Mystic Waters Campground. We're just getting started on this weekend, too. Our Labor Day weekend bender. Heaven Hill Distillery, Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. Thank you, Richard, and Ford's Garage, which is not very far from where we are right now, down in Noblesville. Thank you to Ryan Stoltz, New Belgium Brewing, and Bell's Brewery, and Heaven Hill Distillery, and Brent Holverson for having us here. Again, JMV Takeover for the first time ever, all request, live on the road tomorrow night. That's going to be at 6 o'clock. DJ Skids is going to play here at 7. I've got Colts Happy Hour, top of the hour. Brent Holverson, our betting analyst, rejoins us now. All right, you're going to have some bets for us, but first, we got to give an accurate, an appropriate toast for everybody here. You ready?
We absolutely do. So first and foremost, thank you that everybody is out here, right?
Yeah.
And thank you for all that are listening.
Yes.
All on
And
YouTube right here. You can see this.
You can see it all right now via YouTube Live right now, The Ride with JMV.
This is a shout out to all you guys that take care of us, and thank you for being a part of this. Cheers to you all.
Yes.
Here's a little Evan Williams Fire to get the evening started.
Let's do
DJ
it.
Skids coming after this, right? Cheers.
Cheers to everybody there.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Salud.
Ooh. Very smooth.
Well, that's good.
That hit the spot right there, didn't it?
That is good.
All
good
right.
way to start the weekend, right, John?
And speaking of which,
college football. But before that,
yeah,
I'm going to give a couple shout-outs. First and foremost, the entire staff here at Mystic Waters. Rachel Wagner,
yes,
thank you for all you do out here. She is a huge part of what makes this go round. My wife, Lisa Holverson. She's out getting Sage. Sage will be back here, so we're going to have a little bit of a family thing going on here later, which is what this is all about. We've got our partner, Pete Watson. Big shout-out to Nate Salee as well. All he does. Andy, Wendy, Erica, Larry, Wendy, Caitlin, Jennifer, Nikki Three Fingers for all you do to help out here, my friend. Eric, Ronnie Rummel. I mean, without you guys, this place would not be what it is. So thank you all. And what they've created out here, John, is amazing, right? So big shout-out to them. Also, I want to give a shout-out to Glenn and Glenda Elliott.
Glenn, shout-out to you.
Big shout-out back there, my man. They so John, I just found out that he won a larceny program we did a few years ago at Big Red Liquors, and wasn't able to go. His wife was going through some cancer issues, and I just found out she's doing well, which is awesome to hear.
Right.
Glenn as well. We're gonna get you guys down to Heaven Hill Distillery to take care of you down there, and let's work on getting them something maybe for a game day. But coming up, speaking of game day, John. Tomorrow, some big bets out there. There's a couple I like. Western Kentucky. Look at Western Kentucky, lay 11.5.
Yeah.
North Texas, +6.
Like it.
I like them to win the game, right? And then we talked Purdue. Purdue, go money line. I think it's going to be close. I like Purdue. And then IU +30. Why not? Hoosiers at home. All the fans coming out. Start the season off right. And do not forget, starting Thursday, we will be back with our Larceny Lock Loozle Shot Show. Joe's Castleton.
You got it.
Kicking it off live, man.
We'll see you there.
Looking
That's Brent
forward to it,
Holverson,
brother.
everybody. The Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, 50-50 in betting and dining to Nick Martin. Winning horse was Melita's Fear. Paid $14.20 on a $2 bet, $2 exact to $180.40, and a 50-cent trifecta went for $170.25. The Harris Hoosier Park race of the day today. Back with you. Colts Happy Hour is next. Mystic Waters Campground. A Labor Day weekend bender continues.